How are you feeling today? Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready. What if I told you there's a secret strategy that'll make it easy for any man to fall in love with you? What if I also told you that this super secret strategy doesn't actually require you to do anything at all? If that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry. Join me on today's show where we'll be discussing how to do nothing so that men fall in love with you. That way you understand how to create the perfect environment for men to fall deeply and madly in love with you. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. How are all you beautiful people doing here today? Who we got up in the TikTok chat? Someone says, is this a new recording? Ain't no damn recording. I'm here in real life, okay? Who we got here? We got Go Plants here. Welcome. We got Nids here. We got Bree here. Aya here. Adorable here. Sue is here. Manifesting Greatness here. I like that name. Lenaleek is here. Welcome back, Lenaleek. And Amy Diane. Okay, welcome Amy Diane. Zoe, I like that name. Welcome all you beautiful people in the TikTok chat. And of course, we have our three moderators, Sharice, SH, and Scotty here. Welcome. How are you beautiful people doing? Who we got up in the YouTube chat? I see Irina here, My Lip Service here. This is like a new member. I've been seeing you around chit-chatting, okay? My Lip Service. We got Class here. Mary is here. Halo, or is it Halo is here. We got Gloria here, Flower here, Devil is here, Francesca is here, Maltese is here, Nelly is here, Laura is here, Jasmine is here, Ivy, one of our amazing channel members, Great Fortune Cookie, one of our amazing channel members. Is Olga here, one of our amazing channel members? I know Tracy Niles is here because I saw her here at the she's always here at the very beginning, okay? Welcome all of you beautiful people. How are you all doing? So good to spend this time with you. Special shout out to those of you, because I know a portion of my audience does live in California, so my love and thoughts and prayers are with those of you dealing with wildfires in California, okay? Love you all so much, okay? All right, let's hop into our first point of the day. Today's a very special show because I know it can be very, very confusing when I say things like, hey, don't do anything. For those of you who have joined me on the show before, you've heard me say that term a lot. Just do nothing. Do nothing. And we've even discussed why doing nothing works so well. But let's go in today a little bit deeper on how you're actually going to do nothing and some of the obstacles you're going to face in the process of doing nothing, okay? So let's think of things like this, right? So one of the biggest mistakes that you're going to make when it comes to doing nothing properly has to do with, I should say, energy, right? So there's a really, really interesting concept that a lot of you have come to learn through others, through friends, and you probably heard on social media before. They always say, match his energy. Tell me in the chat if you've ever heard a YouTuber, a content creator, or even a friend tell you that before. Match his energy. If he's not going to give you a lot of energy, then you don't give a lot of energy either. If he's going to be actually keeping up with you and consistent with you, then you match that energy and you do the same for him. Okay, I see a lot of you saying yes. You've heard the term match his energy. Now, I want to kind of a little bit undo your thinking as it relates to that, because I want to explain to you how it doesn't serve you when we're talking about how to do nothing properly. See, here's the thing about the concept and idea of matching his energy. See, when a man shows up for you and he's really consistent with you, let's just say his energy level, right, we'll describe it as, is all the way up here, if we're thinking about it in like a bar sense, right? And so because you want to match his energy, you put your energy levels right where his is, just like everyone tells you to, and you exactly match his energy, okay? So in this sense, you might be thinking, oh, well, this is good, right? His energy is high, and so my energy is high. I'm giving him exactly what he's giving me, and he's being very, very consistent with me. But here, let me kind of reverse your thought process and show you why this works better. See, the mistake with matching someone's energy, especially when a guy is doing a lot for you, is forgetting how men are wired in their nature. See, they're not evil people or evil beings, but they are opportunists. So a lot of times what will happen is when a man has high energy at the very beginning, he's giving you a lot, he's talking to you a lot, he's spending a lot of time on you, he's telling you how much he wants you and wants to be with you and how much he wants to grow this, you're matching that energy. So you're saying back to him, you're telling him how much you want him, you're telling him how much you're loving this relationship and loving him and all that good stuff. But when men realize there's an opportunity here to get a lot from you, they say to themselves, I'm getting a lot of energy from this woman. I wonder what will happen if I just take this down ever so slightly and my energy levels are about here. And you're still in the mode in which you've been trying to match his energy. So you're like, oh, yeah, you're consistent with me. I'm consistent with you. You text me. I text you all the time, too. And you begin to get yourself into a rhythm of the amount you give and invest in this man. But you don't realize he just shaved off a little bit of that energy towards you. But you're already in the routine. You're already thinking to yourself, he's serious. I'm serious. We're both serious. And then he shaves off a little bit more of that energy. Now he's texting you a little bit less. Now he's talking to you a little bit less. Now he's doing a little bit less for you because he's recognizing you're so much in the flow of matching energy. And you've already built this narrative in your mind that he is really here for you and you're going to be really here for him, that you've forgotten or you haven't realized that his energy is dwindling and dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And so because you become so accustomed to having your relationship in a particular way and matching the energy that was once high but is no longer high, you start to feel like, well, wait, I thought we were doing a thing here where we are both really invested here. I thought we were doing a thing here where we both really actually, enjoy spending time with each other and we talk to each other a particular way and we do things a particular way. So now as you're confused, right, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Tomisin, I would never do that. I would never fall for this. As soon as he lowers this energy level, I would match that same lowered energy level. But the problem is, as you get a lot of this high emotional investment at the beginning, you become attached to that level of consistency that you see from him. And so you might think to yourself, well, it's just so easy for me to not care and dwindle down my energy as well. But you're not factoring in you're a woman with emotions. And when you become attached to the idea that your relationship with this guy is going to look a particular way, and he dwindles and dwindles down his energy levels and investment towards you, you start saying, well, I miss the times where your investment in me was all the way up here. I miss those days. And so what happens is you start thinking to yourself, well, maybe if I keep my energy high, you'll be doing the same thing as me in matching my energy, and we'll be thinking about matching each other's energy, and you'll take your energy levels back up to the place that it once was. And see, your anxiety that's going to start forming because of the realization that's setting in that his energy levels towards you is dwindling and dwindling is actually going to throw you out of a loop. So instead of you lowering your energy levels towards him, you're going to start thinking, well, maybe instead of lowering my energy levels, because we have to factor in your emotions here, you're going to start thinking, well, maybe if I take it up a notch, that will actually do the trick. Because he'll realize how much I'm investing here and he'll bring his back up once again. Because you're thinking, well, I don't want it to go low and both of us are low and then we have no relationship anymore. Once your anxiety starts going, because you've become attached to the idea that his energy level will be high like it once was, it becomes very difficult to recover now, especially when your anxiety starts bubbling and you don't know what to do, what to say, or how to recover it. Because what you want is to recover his energy levels back to the place they once were, okay? So how do we do nothing properly in a way that actually serves you, all right? From the very beginning of a relationship, I want you to have in your mind a couple of things that are very important, okay? See, I don't want you to go about relationships with a pessimistic view meaning just a view that everything is going to go wrong all the time. But I do want you to understand that the most important thing you're looking for when it comes to guys is consistency. And I don't want you to get overly excited about the way men will treat you when you're still a shiny new toy. So what will happen a lot when you hear the term match their energy, what I want you to think of instead is my energy will be at a particular limit. And after that, I'm going to see how long this man can sustain his energy levels towards me. That way I avoid too much emotional investment that will put me in a place of anxiety and scrambling to try to get him to get those energy levels back up. So what do I mean by that? When he starts off with you and his energy level is high up here, I still want your energy level to be down here. Meaning, you're not thinking about how to match his energy. You're not thinking about how to give him the same that he's giving you. You're just allowing him. Notice I said allowing him. Notice I said allowing him to come to you and approach you because he wants you. Now, when he wants you, he's going to be pulling out all the stops. He's going to be trying to take you to a fancy restaurant. He's going to be saying all the kind, sweet words to you. He's going to be pulling out your chair. He's going to be holding doors. He's going to be giving you roses. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't appreciate that, but I don't want that to get you thinking, okay, well, everyone, stay put. We got to figure out exactly how we can repay him. We got to figure out exactly how we can do even more for him. We got to figure out exactly how I can invest just as much as he's investing. No. I want you to keep your investment exactly where it should be, which is right here, just enough to keep him interested. Just enough so he doesn't feel like he's not getting anywhere or progressing. All you're doing is allowing him to feel like he can continue pursuing you. And I know that when I say this like this, you're like, Tomisin, I don't want to be a mean girl. I don't have that type of spirit in me. I don't have that type of heart in me. I'm just someone who loves to love. I want you to love. But I want you to love men who can be consistent with you. And I want you to love men who can consistently show up for you in this high energy level that eventually when you do become a wife, you can think about how to match that your husband's energy, not this random guy that you start dating. So I say all that to say, when it comes to how to do nothing, when we're talking about energy levels, you're never, ever, listen to me, you're never going to over-invest yourself, especially at the very beginning. You're going to allow men to approach you that want to approach you. You're going to allow men to date you that want to date you. And you're going to allow them to go about this relationship how they want to go about this relationship. Now, we're going to dig deep into the different parts of relationships that I want you doing nothing in. But I want this concept to soak into your mind. And that way, see, when a guy decides to take his energy level from high to, let's say, medium, right? You're unaffected. When a guy decides to do some things like we'll talk about a little bit later, and he decides to bait you, you're unaffected. And I want all of those things to not be affecting you because you stay level here, no pun intended, you stay level here at your baseline or at your limit and in which you'll be investing in a guy, which is not very much at the very beginning. Because remember, the guys are approaching you. The guys are coming to you. They're talking to you. They're asking for your number. It's precisely why I never advise you. When we're talking about flirting with men and showing them you're interested, I never advise you to be going up to men, asking them for their number, or to be starting the conversation with you approaching them. Because it always sets the wrong precedent and you automatically feel like you need to do a lot of investing, okay? Right? Someone said, what's the limit? It's exactly what we're breaking down in the next point. I'm glad you're paying attention, you're thinking, okay? Now, we're gonna break down exactly what limits are when it comes to all the different aspects that you're gonna go through and experience in a relationship with a man, all right? Especially at the very beginning of your dating stages. So we're going to start off with all of your favorite parts of dating, okay? I know a lot of you love this part of dating, all right? Oh boy, I know you love this, all right? So we're going to start off with texting. And I want to build with you a little bit of a concept for you to rethink to yourself how texting is going to work for you. That way you can approach it with a different mindset and you can approach it with a different actions. Okay. So a lot of you are making the mistake of thinking to yourself, right? You have the phone here and the phone is bringing you closer together, right? And as you guys become closer together, eventually maybe you'll become boyfriend and girlfriend, right? But this is the mistake. See, I know we're in the 21st century and I know technology is crazy. So a lot of times texting can feel like the greatest and most amazing form of communication, but it's not. And the problem is a lot of times one of the main places you can make the mistake of doing too much, of overextending yourself and overinvesting can start at the very beginning with the texting phase. Because you want to text him every day. You want to wake up to a good morning text. You want him to send you a text good night. And all throughout the day, you want to be keeping tabs on exactly what he's doing and telling him exactly what you're doing with your life. Why? Because you're convinced in your mind that all of this excessive texting is actually bringing you closer together and growing your bond with each other, but it's not. What it's doing is it's actually making it easier and more comfortable to stay in that place in your relationship where all you do is communicate over the phone and through text. Because for you, it's just enough, and for him, it's just enough. It feels just satisfying enough that he doesn't feel the hunger and desire to take you out on dates. But remember, you can't really build a relationship with someone who you never see. So let me kind of break down with you how I want you to reconsider texting, okay? So you have the phone here, right? And when you start off with the phone, right, the phone will make it easier for you to create plans. Because obviously the texting is a way for both of you to message each other, get in contact with each other, and organize the next time that you want to go out on a date. So the plan eventually leads to the two of you meeting, right? So the plan creates an in-person meet. When you meet in person, then you can actually talk and conversate and have some conversation about your lives, your own lives, the things that you've been doing, your mind, get an understanding of his mindset. Now, as you talk and you conversate, that's when you become closer, right? And that closeness is how you become boyfriend and girlfriend. So the reason that I'm saying it like this, and I'm kind of painting this picture for you, is because I want you to see the purpose that the texting is supposed to serve in your life. That way you can readjust the way that you invest your time and energy into texting. So let's explain this and break this down a little bit here. If the phone's purpose is to plan, then you don't need to be spending all of your time sending good morning texts, okay, right? You don't need, right? It is unnecessary if you're using the phone to plan to be sending him texts all throughout the day. Now, I'm not saying that you got to ignore his text messages or you got to pretend like he doesn't exist over text message. But what I want you to rethink when you're thinking about why you're even here texting him in the first place, I don't want you to be thinking that the texting is bringing you closer together. I want you to be thinking that we're using texting as a way to just get to our next in-person date. That way, when you're texting him or you're thinking about the frequency in which you should be texting him, or you're thinking about sending him long paragraphs and trying to be Shakespeare and explain to him all the different ways that you're so in love with him and he's the most amazing person of all time, I want you to dead that. Cut that all out. All of it. Because it goes back to what I talked about with matching energies. See, one of the mistakes that you're going to make is when a guy comes to you and he's investing in you, when he's one of those guys that he likes to be heavy on the texting and he likes Shakespeare texting, as I like to say. Shakespeare texting is when he likes to confess all of his deep desires and feelings for you over the text. He likes to tell you, oh my gosh, you know how we met at that event? I just am thinking back to when I saw you at that event, and I'm thinking back to the dress that you were wearing and how amazing you looked in that dress. I'm actually remembering back to the tightest jeans that you were wearing on that day and how you look so good, and I just can't forget it. I just want to remind you how much I'm really into you and how much I enjoyed our conversation. Guys, some of them will go on and on and on and on over text. And remember, like we talked about in our past point when it came to energy and the idea that you have in your mind about matching energy, now you're immediately thinking, okay, if he's going to be Shakespeare over text, then I have to be Shakespeare over text as well to match that energy. So now we're doing this to bring ourselves closer together. But what I want you doing instead is, regardless of whether he's going to be Shakespeare over text or whether he's not a big texter, I always want you focused on one thing when it comes to texting: using it as a tool to plan and schedule the next in-person date. Nothing more, nothing less. I want you approaching texting from that standpoint, because this is how you do nothing properly. See, you're not trying to do, when you're doing with texting or you're using texting, you're not trying to bring yourselves closer together or bring some sort of bond between you guys over the phone. You're only using texting just enough to get you to that next in-person date. And you're doing nothing more than that. The trick of this show is that the nothing that you're doing actually requires a strategy. So no matter how much he texts, no matter what his frequency is, no matter if he texts you every single text that he texts you back in 2 minutes. I don't care what he does. You stay put and you don't bother yourself too much with overly texting. So every time you're thinking to yourself, this is the gauge that I want you using, okay? Because some of you are thinking, well, then how often should I text? Every time you're thinking to yourself, oh, he texted me this, so I should text him something similar back, stop yourself. Because you're falling into this trap here. Every time he sends you some sort of message and you're thinking in your mind, oh, I got to send him a message of the equal length, or I got to say something similar like that so he knows how much I'm invested in him as well, stop yourself. And remind yourself, you're not here to show him how much you care by texting him so well. You're not here to be Shakespeare just because you're getting some Shakespeare text from him. And the other thing that I want you to notice is men enjoy the aspect of pursuing you. They enjoy sending you love letters and telling you how amazing you are and telling you how awesome you are. What they don't tell you, though, is they actually don't really necessarily feel as good or better about the relationship just because you do it for them. In fact, a lot of the times when you do that back to them, they're kind of like, oh, I'm in love with loving you. I'm not so in love with you loving me even more. I want to be obsessed with you. I don't want you necessarily to be super obsessed with me at the beginning. Not my vibe. And you might think to yourself, well, why would men not want to feel my love? Why would men not want to feel like I'm obsessed with them, or I care about them, or I want them as badly as they want me? See, the thing is, men like to be hunters. And when we're talking about how to do nothing properly so that men fall in love with you, you can't take away his ability to hunt you. I know it sounds very strange, but you're taking away his ability to hunt you when you're using texting like this, right? Because when you use texting like this, you're trying to be more like him and be the Shakespeare that he's trying to be. And you're trying to, like the kids say, match his energy. But the problem is, men don't actually want you to match their energy even over text. They want you to give them just enough that they can continue hunting. So how do you give a man just enough? You only text him for the purpose of planning. If he wants to chit chat with you all day about his day, you ignore those messages or send minimal messages, okay? All you're doing is answering a couple of questions. Hey, yep, I was doing this, I was doing that. You can send him picture and video messages as well. That's a good way to text in a way that it's like, I'm not ignoring you or being dry, but I was doing this, I was over here, I was painting, I went to the mall, I went to the grocery store. Send him pictures and videos of what you were doing and leave it at a minimum. Let guys decide for themselves. Is this amount of communication that I have with her enough or not? Because if I really like her and I really want her and I want to go out on a date with her, then I need to think to myself, well, I'm not really getting a lot from her when it comes to the text messages. So if I'm not getting a lot from her when it comes to text messages, but I know I want to spend more time with her, I'm going to have to think of an alternative on how I'm going to be able to reach her. And when you do that, and you allow men to think to themselves, what could the possible alternatives be? Now, all of a sudden, they're thinking about how they can ask you out on a date to get some time spent with you. All right? Does that make sense? Right? Someone said long distance is a pain in the butt. It is, which is exactly why I don't advise you guys to be doing long distance relationships. And even in a long distance relationship, the number one thing that your man should be doing before he wants to call you and FaceTime you all day, every day, is he should be planning out for him months in advance the next time that he's going to see you. Okay, a little side note for some of you. Any of you in long distance relationships that your man isn't planning out the next time he's gonna see you months in advance, trust me, you ain't in no real long distance relationship, because men that desire you will have a desire to see you in person. And if the desire to see you in person is not that burning or not that deep, then trust me, you're wasting your time with that type of guy being long distance anyways, all right? Let's hop into point number 3, okay? Now, this is an interesting one that it's kind of I guess we can say an obstacle that you're gonna face when it comes to dating men, all right? All right, so this one's gonna require a little bit of my drawing skills, so please bear with me, all right? All right, so we're gonna have here what we can describe as, oh boy, I cannot draw, but you know what? We gonna try this thing. So this here, we're gonna call this, damn, how am I gonna draw this? All right, so we'll do this here. This is, I don't know how to draw, it's okay. All right, so we have a lake here, right, lake. And then you are a little fish over here. Okay, that's good enough, right? So little fish over here, right, in the lake, and this is you, right? So the reason I'm drawing this is because I want to help you visualize what can happen sometimes when we're trying to get you to do nothing, and how men will actually try to get you to do something. In fact, more than something. Let me explain. So what will happen sometimes? We're gonna label this fishing rod the man. And we're gonna label this, obviously here, the bait. What will happen sometimes when you're dating men and you start talking to them? They will do this thing where they start talking to you at the very beginning, and things might be going decently well. And then they'll pull out of their hat this very interesting trick that I want you to pay attention to. They'll say something like, you know, I'm dating you and I'm just not really feeling the vibes from you. You know, I'm here and I'm super duper invested in you. I want to make sure we have a great relationship, and I'm really, really looking for something very, very, very serious. But you know, when I'm experiencing you and hanging out with you, I just don't feel like you're as serious about this relationship as I am. I have so much love to give, and I'm so serious about finding a wife. I don't think that you're as serious as me. And I feel like our investment levels are just on 2 totally different investment levels. And I wish you could do something like maybe slurp me off, or maybe something like open your legs wide open, to show me how invested you are in me and how serious you are about a relationship with me. But this is the trick. It's bait. You're like a fish in this sense, because he's baiting you into taking the bait that you will say, oh my goodness, I'm scared now. I'm worried now. You're a really serious man that wants to marry me. You've already bought the diamond ring, okay? 4-carat ring for me. And you're so ready to be with me and build a relationship with me. But it's me and the things that I'm doing and the things I'm not showing you that's making you feel like maybe I'm not the girl for you. So now I need to scramble and I need to start thinking about how can I invest myself totally and completely in this relationship that will show you that I'm actually serious. And just that fast, like a little fishy, you've taken the bait. And now he gets to reel you in with his fishing rod and he's caught you. Because this is the biggest mistake you'll make. Now, when you start over investing yourself, trying to do this thing, you're trying to cook him fancy dinners, you're trying to bake him cakes, you're trying to come over at 4 a.m., you're trying to do everything for him, you're giving him multiple check-ins in the day, you're trying to be the most accommodating person that you possibly can be for him to show him how super duper serious you are. Now, all of a sudden, like we talked about with energy at the beginning, he says, ooh, this is a perfect opportunity. And then he takes back a lot of that energy that he was once giving. Because he realizes once you're in the flow, see, emotions are very tricky, especially for you as a woman. Once you're in that flow of investing a lot and doing the most and over exerting and extending yourself, it's very difficult to just stop doing that. And he understands once you get in that flow, as long as he can inch back his investment slowly but surely, you might not even realize until it's already too late. And once he baits you into doing all of this investing, now instead of you evaluating him and thinking to yourself, how do I, evaluate if you're the man that I'm looking for? You're now in a mindset where you're thinking about how do I prove to him that he actually wants me and I'm the girl that he's looking for, right? Very, very dangerous. So how do we do nothing in a way that doesn't allow us to get baited? Anytime a guy comes to you and he asks you to do more for him to prove the fact that you're super serious and super invested, all I want you to do, see, this is why it's so amazing. Join the Players Club, you'll learn so much that you're never fazed by anything. Soon as he tells you he wants more and more investment from you, I want you to say, okay, sounds good. I hear you. I see you. I understand you. Not that you're not listening, not that you don't care. I want you to make it seem like you're absorbing it and you're really thinking about it and you're hearing what he has to say. And then I want you to go right back to doing exactly what you were doing before, which is doing nothing. And even if he expresses frustration, I want you to acknowledge his frustration. I want you to tell him, hey, I want to make sure that you know, I'm interested and I'm invested and I want us to build here. But then I want you to go back to continuing to do nothing. Because what you're not going to do is you're not going to fall for the bait. Anytime that they tell you, please invest more, please do more, you continue doing the exact same thing you've been doing. Because at this point in the relationship, it is his job to be doing the pursuing and investing if he truly wants you. Now, if it's not that serious to him or he just wants a side chick or a girl that he can use and take advantage of, then maybe he might have to go and talk to another girl. But if he wants truly to be with you, then it's his job to show you that he wants to be with you by investing in you on a consistent basis. And don't get tricked into thinking, oh my God, I need to start cooking and cleaning to prove something to him, to prove my worthiness to him. The reason I'm saying that is because I know majority of you will fall into that trap. It's such an easy trap to fall into, of taking care of a guy who really isn't doing anything for you. And the whole time you're taking care of him, you're justifying it in your mind because you're thinking, as I'm taking care of him, I'm showing him something that I will eventually be paid back for. It doesn't work like that. I want you to reframe your thinking and think to yourself, he needs to show me something that eventually when he gets all of this good loving and caretaking and nurturing from me, then it will be well earned and well deserved. Not because he's some random guy on the street that I met on Hinge and took me out on one date that I don't even know his last name, okay? And because I know this is one of the number one tricks that you can fall for, okay? So when he asks you to invest more and do more and because you need to show him more and show him how serious you are, just let it go in one ear, out the other ear, smile, play dumb like, oh yeah, thank you, yeah, I understand, I know what you're saying and all that good stuff, and then do nothing. Continue to do nothing. Trust me, you'll be fine. The men who wanted to pursue you and wanted to invest in you and want you truthfully, nothing's going to happen. They might complain a little bit, maybe be a little bit agitated. They're still going to be there. The men who really just wanted to use this as a way to trick you, to get you to do a lot for him, those are the men who will say, well, damn, since you're not going to do the most for me, I'm going to go find someone else who will do the absolute most for me. Okay? And you can let them be on their way. Because trust me, you weren't going to have no good relationship with that guy anyways. All right? Let's hop into number 4. Now, number 4 is going to require me to do a little bit of drawing also. So please bear with me for point number 4. But there is a very important point here to understand. Okay, so point number 4. Problems. Now, let's draw a little bit of an illustration here. Don't worry, we're not going to get too deep into art class, but I do want to draw something for you that I think will be interesting. Okay? So we're going to draw you here, right? And we're going to draw your triangle body. And we're going to draw you up here. This is kind of funny, okay? I hope this drawing will come across how it's supposed to come across. Then we'll draw this man over here. Stick body, he don't work out, okay? Chat, I be trying. Okay? All right, so this illustration, do you guys even know what's happening here? Does this make any sense to you guys, what I've drawn here? All right, so for this illustration, what I kind of want to help you guys understand is problems and how to work with problems when it comes to doing nothing. Because obviously when you date men, you're always gonna encounter some disagreements and some arguments. Now, one of the main mistakes you can make when you're going through disagreements and arguments with a guy you start dating is the desire to over-explain yourself and over-communicate with men because you want this relationship to work out. Now, communication is good, and I want you to communicate in your relationships. However, I want you to kind of retrain yourself when it comes to men to communicate in a way that actually will see results in your relationship. So what do I mean by that? Let's imagine in this scenario here, you know, whenever you've watched your favorite teen dramas, a lot of times in that teen drama, after that guy messes up, he does that really big mistake in the teen drama that messes the entire relationship up, and she decides that she no longer wants to be with this guy. They'll always have this redemption arc and scene where the guy comes out of her window and he's holding up a boombox, playing her favorite song, right? Saying, oh my gosh, don't you remember this is the song that when we first met and we went to the diner together, we heard this song and that was when we had our first kiss and that was our favorite song together. And he's playing that song on the boombox while she's standing out on her balcony. It's supposed to be a balcony, okay? I don't know if you guys were able to notice that, right? She's standing out on the balcony and he threw rocks at the window and now he's playing her favorite song on this boombox, okay? So why do I say this? Because this is actually how I want you to replicate your relationships in the way that you solve problems. See, here's the thing. Men, they don't really take in when you're over-explaining, over-communicating, telling him what he should or shouldn't do, telling him why he's wrong, telling him all the ways he's mistreated you. It's very difficult for guys in a place like that, in a state like that, to really absorb what it is that you're saying. What works better for men, and this actually correlates to doing nothing properly, is when you withdraw from them and you say and you do nothing. When he really has upset you or bothered you, you completely withdraw yourself and you do absolutely nothing. Then he realizes, oh my God, she's not going crazy. She's not yelling or screaming at me. She's not calling me out. She's not texting me, calling me, or doing anything at all with me. Now I'm worried. Now I'm starting to think to myself, something horrible must have happened. I must have done something horrible, or even worse. Maybe she's moved on from me and she no longer wants to be with me, and I have no chance of being with her ever again. I may have messed this whole thing up. Then immediately they start thinking in their mind, what grand gesture or just gesture in general can I do to solve this problem and make this situation better? Which is why all the guys in the movies come up with the bright idea to come out of the window and have you stand on the balcony while they play your favorite song on the boombox, okay? It's because now their wheels are turning and they're thinking, I must fix and solve this situation. But the amazing part about that, when you do nothing that way and you get that response from men, is when they're outside of your window with the boombox and they say, please take me back. Please, I'll do anything. Please just have a conversation with me. And you say, okay, you got 10 minutes. He's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And when you sit down and you have that conversation, the first thing he's saying is, I'm so sorry for what I did. Please, I'll do anything to make it better. How can I make this better? I apologize for my actions, da da da. And when you tell him the things that were bothering you, like, oh, I didn't like when you talked to this girl. I didn't like when you did this thing or that thing. He's already in a place ready to receive whatever it is you have to say, because he's in a mind state, in a mind frame where he wants to fix the problem so that you're not upset with him anymore, so that you're not withdrawn from him anymore, so that you're not doing nothing anymore, because guys don't like that. Now, when he's ready to fix the problem because he doesn't want you to do nothing anymore, and you tell him what your issues are because he's asked for your communication and he wants to know how to solve the problem, all of a sudden, you can get your, all of your issues solved in an instant. All of a sudden, the girl that was an issue or the situation that was an issue, he's already in a moment, instant. Say, it's already done. I'll fix it right now. Oh, I'll block her. Don't even worry about it. Oh, don't worry. She's not even an issue anymore. I'll get rid of her. I'll tell her tomorrow, right? Or I'll tell her right now. And all of a sudden, you see how easy it is for you to get what you want when you just allow men to come to you and tell you, I want to solve your problem. Now, they're so much more receptive to whatever your problem is. As opposed, and the craziest part is that in that scenario, you don't have to over-explain yourself. You don't have to over-communicate. You don't have to send him 55 paragraphs and break it down in point form and do it like I'm doing here on the board, right? All you got to do is tell him what your issue is, and he's already looking on how he's going to solve it, okay? Someone said something so amazing in the TikTok chat that I want us to address. She said, if he really likes you. Precisely. Precisely. And I want all of you to be thinking about that. If he really likes you, he will respond like this. But that's exactly what I want. I want you to be sure that a guy really likes you and is invested in you, because when you do this and he responds like this, then you know you're moving in the right direction. You also can assure that you're not wasting your own time on a guy who's either trying to use you, take advantage of you, or is not serious about being in a relationship with you. Because part of the great thing about doing nothing, when you do nothing, especially as it relates to your problems, you think a guy who's just trying to use you and jackrabbit himself inside of you and discard of you is ever going to come outside of your house with a boombox? Absolutely not. He's just going to move on to another girl. But that is amazing. That's not a loss for you. That's not a misfortune for you. That's amazing because you're allowing men to weed themselves out and show you how they really feel about you. And when you can get a guy to show you how he really feels about you, and this moment doesn't happen when you withdraw yourself, well, then you know you are wasting all of your time spending time with this guy in the first place. And you should be happy coming to that realization, because now that it's obvious to you you were wasting time, you don't have to bother yourself by wasting time anymore. It should bring you actually, I know this is going to sound very strange, it should bring you a lot of peace, understanding that a man who cares about you will have an innate desire to solve your problems and make you happy. A man who doesn't give a damn about you, doesn't care about investing in you, and is only thinking about himself will have no desire to solve your problems or do anything for you. So those men When you have an issue or you withdraw from them, they won't respond to you at all because they don't care about your happiness at all. But it's good for you to recognize that they don't care about your happiness. So you're not, remember when we talked about matching energies and things like that? That way you're not trying to match energies with a guy who's not even invested in you. Imagine you thinking about matching energies with a guy who's only faking it so that he can get himself to be able to jackrabbit himself inside of you for 90 seconds, usually less than that. Why waste your time matching energies with someone like that? Why waste your time thinking about how you're going to overextend yourself, overexert yourself, and overinvest in yourself in someone who isn't even interested remotely in making you happy or your happiness overall? It's a waste of your time. So it's a win for you when you can recognize that a guy maybe in your life that you've been investing in does not have any desire to do this. It's actually great, right? It's a more efficient use of your time now instead of wasting it on this guy. Oh my goodness, I'm spilling water. All right, let's hop into point number 5. Okay, I know I'm going kind of fast here. I hope you guys can keep up. Someone said earlier, I wish I could watch this on 2x speed. If you're watching it on TikTok, you know, you can go, I didn't mention it, you can go onto my YouTube channel, which is just above my head on the top right corner of the screen, and just type in my name, Tomisin, and I'm live on YouTube at the same time as I'm live on TikTok. You can watch the stream there, but there you can rewind it, and if you want to, you can watch it on 2x speed. I mean, I'm live now, but if you rewind it a little bit, then you can watch that part that's already been recorded on 2x speed, okay? Let's hop into point number 5, right? Cool. Oops. All right, so something very, very important that we need to talk about when it comes to doing nothing properly is an issue that I know a lot of you struggle with when you're dating men. So we're going to draw ourselves out a little example calendar here. Stay with me, chat. All right, so you have your month calendar here, okay? And in this month calendar, let's just say, for the sake of argument, right? This guy that you're dating, that you're with, I know this isn't a perfect, 7-day calendar here, but let's just say for the sake of example that in this month calendar that you have, this guy, he goes out on a date with you on a Tuesday, let's just say. And the next time he asks you out on a date is the following Wednesday. And after that, maybe he asks you out on a date on the Monday, okay? And every so often, right, every basically week, you guys go on about one date. And maybe even some weeks you go on a date in a week and a half. Now, this is the thing about frequency. And I know it will trouble you because when you're dating guys, when you like a guy and you like how this is going and you like his vibe, you're going to be saying to yourself, wow, I really am enjoying my time with you. And you're going to be thinking, see, we go out on a date every week or maybe week and a half, but I feel like we could be hanging out a little bit more than that. And you start thinking to yourself, I really like our vibe. I really, really do. And for the rest of my week, I'm just not doing anything. And I wish we could go out on more dates than that. The problem is, though, then you start communicating to him and trying to get him to see you at a higher frequency than he already wants to. Because the truth of the matter is, if a guy is asking you out on one date per week, then at that time, with his level of interest, his schedule, his timing, his availability, and his desire to see you, that is how much he wants to see you. I want you to accept this reality. And I know it's going to be painful, but it's going to help you do nothing properly. Men will see you as often as they want to. They will also talk to you as often as they want to. The reality, the unfortunate, I guess, reality, or fortunate, depending on how you look at it, is men cannot be sped up or slowed down. Because remember, They are the pursuer. So in order for them to properly pursue, right, they have to have intention within them and desire within them to pursue. Based on that desire, they will act on that desire and say, hey, I want this woman, and it's not enough for me to only see her once a week. And then after they see you once a week, they'll say, hey, I need to see you more days than just once a week. I'm going to ask you on more dates. The same thing when it comes to their texting frequency or how much they call you or how much they don't call you. It will always be based precisely on his desire to see you and his desire to speak to you. The mistake when it comes to not doing nothing properly is not just allowing men to show you exactly how much he wants to spend time with you. And because you start thinking to yourself, oh, we're matching energies, or we're supposed to be going hard here, or this is supposed to be like we're really invested in each other, you start trying to speed him up by telling him, hey, we're only going on 1 date a week. We got to start going on 2. Or telling him, hey, by the way, we haven't seen each other in a week and a half. We haven't seen each other in a couple of days. Don't you want to go here? Don't you want to do this? Don't you want to spend time doing something together since we haven't seen each other most of the week? Don't do it. You're doing nothing. And in the process of you doing nothing, you're allowing men to see you at the frequency that they feel like seeing you. Now, let me make something very clear to you. Even though you're allowing him to see you at the frequency that he desires to see you, obviously, you're going to set a cutoff limit. Meaning, after a certain amount of time that he's not speaking to you and not asking you out on any dates, you're going to set yourself a cutoff and say, now I'm just moving forward with my life. Because at that point, the frequency is so thin that it doesn't make sense for me to even be thinking of this as someone I'm dating, right? So for example, my honest advice to you is if a guy can't be bothered to contact you, call you, or ask you out on any single date in a 2-week span of just literally no contact, just disappear, poof, into thin air, my advice to you is at that point, just move forward with your life. If you don't hear from a man and don't go on a date with a man in a 2-week span, okay, and there's just nothing, radio silence, just move forward with your life. And when he does come back, or if he does text you again or call you again, just don't bother answering, just move forward, okay? It's okay to ghost people, it's fine. If he's not showing up for you in a way that makes sense or will allow you guys to actually date, then you just move forward. Because that should also, see, Zaina just said something important. She said moving forward is hard though. But see, this is the thing. See, a lot of times doing nothing can be difficult. Because when it comes to something like frequency, when you want to see a guy more and the time is getting spaced out more and more and more, the 3 days is turning into 5 days, is turning into 1 week, is turning into a week and a half. You want to say to yourself, I can't move forward, but I also can't just let this die. So now I need to take some steps forward and not doing nothing. And I need to start doing something so that I can stimulate the frequency at which we see each other. But it's a mistake. It's a mistake. Because men don't respond to that well. One of 2 things will happen when you try to speed him up or you try to increase his frequency from where he wanted it to be. He will either say, hey, yeah, sure, I'll see you. I'll spend time with you. But the reason he's spending time with you is not because he's taking action on his desires. It'll be because he feels sorry for the fact that you want to see him more. And so he's capitulating or just agreeing because you want to see him more. But remember, men are supposed to be in this hunter mentality where they feel like they're being rewarded for their hard work and they feel like they're chasing after something, right? It doesn't have to be in a desperate way necessarily, but it's just that I want you and I want to spend time with you, so I ask you out. When you ask me out or you tell me that I'm not seeing you enough, it doesn't give me that same feeling of hunting. Now I feel like you're the one coming after me. Or what will happen in scenario number 2, right, is he will just push back against that. And when you ask him to up the frequency, hey, can you see me next week? Can you see me this day? Can you see me that day? Can we go out? Can we spend some time with each other? We haven't seen each other in a while. All he's going to do is give you an excuse and you won't see him anyways. And then you'll be frustrated because now you said something, you've done something, you've extended yourself or put yourself out there, and he said, no, I've got a thing going on, and I've got that thing and that thing. And then you're back to square one because you still don't see him. And now you're even a little bit more frustrated because you aren't seeing him, but you've expressed how you're upset about not seeing him. So my advice to you whenever you're dating a guy is to do nothing. And especially when it comes to the frequency, let him see you as much as he wants to see you. Let him call you as much as he feels like calling you. If he doesn't feel like calling you, you're not going to force him. If he doesn't feel like messaging you, or he doesn't feel like asking you out on a date 8 times a week, which you shouldn't be going on 8 dates or 7 dates or a date every 5-6 days with a guy you just met anyways. But if he doesn't want to ask you out on dates, then you allow him to do that. You're not going to speed up his frequency. You're not going to try and adjust it or make sure that he can see you more days or talk to you more times, right? You're going to allow him to show you how much he actually desires you and allow him to hunt you if he feels like hunting you. If he doesn't, all good. What I want to do for you and the position I want to put you in is a position where you can be successful with the guys that already like you, stimulating and creating an environment that allows them to continue liking you more and more and showing more and more interest in you. Not that you end up meeting a guy who likes you at first, then you kind of do a lot of things wrong. You start exerting yourself, doing the most, and then he starts to pull back his interest in you. Because now you're overly invested and he no longer is in the same dynamic that he once was where he was able to pursue you. Does that make sense? Right? That environment makes it so easy for men who actually like you and want to invest in you to continue liking you and to continue investing in you, because that's the dynamic that will allow him to feel in his masculine when you do nothing and let him come to you. Vice versa, right? If you're doing this, like we talked about earlier, with a guy who doesn't really like you or doesn't really care for you, instead of obviously stimulating him to do more, it's obviously going to make it easier for him to just say, yeah, I don't even want to invest in this girl in the first place, which is good for you. That's also a win. Don't think to yourself it's not a win just because a guy who never wanted to be with you still doesn't want to be with you. That is a win because now you can make it clear to yourself and you can avoid wasting a lot of time on a guy who was never trying to build with you in the first place. Okay? Does that make sense to all of you beautiful people in the classroom? All right. For those of you who are watching me on TikTok and you miss parts that I talked about or you came a little bit late, right? All of the points that I discussed here are available on my YouTube channel, which is just above my head on the top right corner of the screen. Type in my first name, Toimsin, on YouTube, and then you go into my channel. You'll be able to see me live there. You can rewind it or fast forward it, however you want to do it. Obviously, I'm live, so you can only fast forward so much, right? So for those of you who have a question about that or you want to rewatch any of the points, you can go to my YouTube and watch that. For those of you, right? By the way, do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed, any of these 5? And for those of you who have a question for me, maybe you watched the show and it inspired some thought in you, or you thought to yourself, I do have a situation, but it's a little bit more nuanced than what you discussed. There, I have a 24/7 hotline in which you can ask me a private question about your situation or, your relationship, or if it's a situationship, you can ask me about that as well. And that hotline is available in my TikTok bio or the link in my description if you're watching this on YouTube. Go to where it says private relationship advice. You can click that link and you can type out your message, make it as long as you want and as detailed as you want, and you send it in to me, and then I respond to you with a voice message. It's usually 8 to 10 minutes long. I won't lie to you though. 2 days ago or a day ago, I did do a message and my answer was 20 minutes long, but that was because her message was long. So it does get detailed here. We get into the nitty gritty. So I will respond to you with the voice message and I'll send that back to your email. No one else will see your message except for me. That's for those of you who want my specific help or my expertise or advice about your relationship, or if you just want a perspective outside of your own in understanding the guy that you're dealing with. That hotline, we can call it, is available to you there to use, okay? In my TikTok bio and also in my YouTube description. Maya said, sexually? I mean, yeah, your question can have sex involved. It can be anything relationship related, okay? All right. let me answer some of the questions that you guys have had here about what we just discussed. Let me go into the donations. First of all, Tracy Niles donated $20 in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much, Tracy Niles. You're such an amazing, loyal member of the show, and I do appreciate you so much. Can't say that enough. Ivy, one of our amazing and awesome channel members as well, donated $10 in the YouTube chat. She says, so classic. They say they are leaders, but in the same breath say you need to lead. It's funny. It is funny. And Ivy, thank you so much for the $10 donation, and thank you so much for being such a loyal, amazing, participating member of the show. But it is true, right? Some men will come to you, right, and be, oh, I'm an alpha male, I'm a big boss man. But then by the time they come to you and it's time to lead you in the relationship, they're like, hey, can you be the one who plans the dates? I want you to plan them. I want you to show me how invested you are. I want you to show me how much you care. And it's funny that way, okay? It's funny. It's funny when men are hypocrites. It's funny when anyone's a hypocrite, okay? Someone says, how long do you give the guy the silent treatment for? Well, this all actually depends on the situation at hand, right? So when you're talking about giving a guy silent treatment because you have a problem or an issue, usually when it's something small, it won't be hard for him to come to you and say, hey, is something bothering you? Is something off? I feel like you're upset about something. But if it's something big, sometimes you're going to need to give that silent treatment for as long as you possibly can. I know it's not a direct answer, a cookie cutter answer. Hey, make it for 3 days, make it for 4 days. But that's because when it comes to relationships, each situation requires nuance. And I can't just say, hey, give him the silent treatment for a day and a half and everything will be all right, right? You'll get used to understanding how you go about it and the way you're going to do it when you start practicing it in your relationships and in your dating life, right? And you'll start to get a rhythm and an understanding of, okay, he's done something now. This is my time to pull back my energy and allow him to do some thinking. Give him a little time out. He'll do some thinking. And it's kind of like training a dog. As you train your dog, he'll get smarter at understanding I did something wrong, and he'll know from the very beginning, I just need to fix it. Because if I don't fix it, hey, this is going to be very bad for me and very bad for us. And as you train your dog more and more, at the beginning, it'll be the hardest because that's when you're going to need to take the most time away for him to understand what's going on. When you start getting into the time where you're more serious and you guys have built an understanding with each other, it won't take that long. Right? Because he'll know right away. You know how they say the term happy wife, happy life? Because guys understand my wife's happiness is my #1 priority. If my wife ain't happy, we ain't doing it. So for them, when you're in that state and you have that level of a bond and closeness in your relationship, it's very easy for your husband or your man to understand my wife's not happy. I know even subtly when she's not happy, I immediately fix it. Okay. My example of that is I watched a video the other day. I wish I would have saved it so we could watch it together because it does apply to this. I watched a video the other day where this girl and her boyfriend, they were eating in the car. And I think they were just eating like their first big meal of the day. So they were really excited to eat this together. And it was like a sandwich, like a sub sandwich. And they bit into it because they were really excited to eat it. They were really hungry. And when they started eating it, she didn't like her sandwich, but she was trying to hide that she didn't like her sandwich because she didn't want him to know because she didn't want to like upset him or anything like that. She didn't want to cause a big deal. So she was trying to like fight through it and just eat the sandwich, even though she was like kind of upset and she didn't like the taste. But even as she was trying to hide it and tell him, no, I really like it. I think it's really good and da-da-da-da-da. He could tell immediately as soon as she bit into it. And as soon as, he was looking at her like, oh, you liked it because he liked his. And she could tell, oh, you're not happy. And as soon as she sees that, no, you don't have to do anything. It's okay. It's fine. He's like, nope, we're getting out. I'm going to go get you something. What do you want? You want Chinese? You want this? She's like, no, it's okay. I like it. And she was trying to convince herself. But he was so understanding of exactly the micro expressions or the way that she'll change her mood or her energy when she's upset. He was so sensitive to that he immediately knew I have to fix it. And I need to make an adjustment here, even though it had nothing to do with him. So the reason I say that is because when guys grow with you and your relationship with them develops, it becomes like a sixth sense for them to understand my woman is not happy. And that understanding, they immediately go into I need to fix it mode. I need to solve her issue mode, okay? Whether it's about him or whether it has to do with something totally unrelated to him. Okay, so you kind of have to use that to your advantage and, in a sense, train your dog over time. Okay. Jay says it's so true. A man in love will be so in tune with your moods. It's very true. Okay. And I want you guys to understand that so that when you go into your situations and your relationships, you don't have a lot of anxiety thinking that you need to over explain yourself to men. Let men's desire to solve problems and to make you happy, if they're really invested in you, let that work itself out how it's supposed to work itself out. Right. LP Baby says, for point number 5, is dressing up too formal, dress boots, lots of makeup for our frequent dates doing too much? Can men sense you are doing too much? No. When I'm talking about frequency, and I'm talking about the dates that you guys go on, I'm not talking about making each individual date special or taking it seriously or anything like that. All I'm referring to is when you're doing nothing properly, you don't want to be thinking about how you can stimulate or speed up the frequency in which he sees you. Right? Let the part of doing nothing as it relates to frequency, let men see you as often as they want to see you. So when he asks you out on a date and he can actually plan and schedule that time with you, and because he wants to see you, then you can allow that to be the times that he sees you. But if he's not planning and scheduling anything with you, don't be of the mindset that, oh, I want to see him more. I want to spend more time with him. This isn't enough for me. So I need to tell him how we haven't hung out in a week, or we haven't hung out in 4 or 5 days, right? That can be a mistake when it comes to doing nothing properly, because now you're not putting him in a position where he's allowed to hunt. Okay? Someone in the TikTok chat says, what to do if he misses a date because of work and asks to reschedule? Like, what do I respond? So if he genuinely missed the date because of a work issue that was unexpected, and that's honestly the truth, it wasn't like he was just flopping or being careless, then you say, okay, fair. And you tell him, right, if he says, let's reschedule, so I'm assuming he misses the date and he says, can we reschedule? Then you tell him, yeah, if you want to reschedule, my next free day is blank. And you leave it there, right? Or you just say, okay, and let him ask you, when are you free next? Right? It's doing the absolute minimum. The reason I'm saying that is because it doesn't require you to over explain if a man is really actually intentional with you. So if he really wants to reschedule with you, he'll just ask you, what day are you free next? Right? Or he'll just ask you, let's actually plan this properly on this day, or blah, 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 right? You won't have to say, oh, so do you want to reschedule? Oh, so do you want to go instead on this day? Blah, blah, blah. No, you won't have to do that, because if he really wants to reschedule, he'll just do that, and he'll lead that process, right? Melody in the YouTube chat says, can you talk about guys that still got women in his phone, old photos and pictures of people he probably forgot while talking to you and trying to make you official? So you're talking about, like, in this guy's phone, he has pictures and photos of other women in his phone. I think that is, first of all, telling you something that you should be honest with yourself about. And what I mean by that is, if you're noticing that, okay, right? There are no stupid questions in the chat, but if you're wondering that, and you're wondering how you're supposed to deal with a man who has photos and videos of other women on his phone, well, you're kind of asking yourself the wrong question, because you're thinking about how to turn a guy who has a lot of signs that he is not really invested in a long-term serious relationship. You're thinking about how to address that type of guy, rather than thinking to yourself, I don't want to date the type of guy that will have a bunch of photos and videos with women who he is no longer with. That's a very strange type of thing to have. And if he does have that, then it probably means he's not really that serious about investing in a long-term serious relationship. I'm not saying a guy can't have screenshots of anything, but if we're talking about photos, like personal photos, like, explicit photos that have been sent to him by other women just laying in his phone, and he's dating you, then that doesn't make a lot of sense. And if you see some things, I know it's going to sound very weird, some things don't need to be explained. So if you have to explain to a man who's telling you how much he wants to date you and marry you that he shouldn't have naked photos of other women in his phone, I don't really think that you're even dating the right guy. I feel like that's a situation where a guy who's really intentional with you should be taking care of that on his own time. And if he's not in the mind state or the mind frame to take care of that, then I think that you're kind of, having the wrong dynamic here, right? Or a misunderstood dynamic. I know you said, Melody, that, he may have forgot, but really, how do you forget that there are naked women sitting on your phone? It's just not like the forget thing is not a. I don't subscribe to that. If it's on your phone, you know it's there. Okay, guys. When we talked about spank tanks a couple of shows ago, a couple of weeks ago, and spank tanks can consist of nude photos. They can consist of regular photos. They can consist of the weirdest things that you could possibly imagine. But if a guy has a spank tank, he knows he has a spank tank, right? He knows that there's that folder or that album in his phone, or that those pictures just are readily existing in his Photos app, okay? So if that's the case, he knows they're there subconsciously, right? He knows that if you were to go through his photos, you'd probably see some things that you weren't fond of. Guys aren't dumb in that sense or so forgetful in that sense that they would never realize that. That's not how it works, okay? Right? Bay says, what about a guy that acts right, but he cheats? Say that again. Type that out 10 times and then ask yourself if that even makes sense. You're asking me if he acts right, but he cheats. Then so what? But what? What are we saying then? That you want me to say, oh, if he acts right, but he cheats, go ahead and be with him and then get cheated on the entire time. Go ahead and get you an STD or an STI. Go ahead and walk in on him sleeping with another woman. It's vibes. What do you expect me to say? What do you expect me to say? I don't consider that acting right, okay? But anyways, nevertheless. All right, chat, let's hop into our next segment of the show. Our next segment is going to be our React segment, where I react to TikTok videos that you guys have sent to me about love, life, and relationships, okay? And we're gonna have some discussion about those videos. Also, if you want to ask me a question and you want me to answer it live on the show, and you're okay with your information being out there, you can go and drop your question into our Discord, because we're having Discord time at the end of the show, which is going to be me answering your relationship questions live on air while we all react and read it along. So if you have a question for me, make sure you drop that into our Discord. That link is in my TikTok bio or in my description. Click where it says Players Club Discord, and then drop your question into our relationship advice forum, okay? That's gonna happen at the end of the show. Our React segment is next. I'm gonna clean up. We're gonna watch an intermission video from Simone Squared while I clean up, and I'll join you guys back in just a moment. Simone Squared's video, intermission video today is 17 harsh truths about men I wish I knew in my 20s, okay? I'll be back with you guys in just a moment. Simone Squared, please take it away.
You need to be a dream woman for yourself, and that especially involves having self-respect. A girl who's easy and has no self-respect, that's not a dream woman, because men like a challenge as well, and they respect people, especially women who respect themselves, and then makes them work like a little bit harder. So yeah, it's not about doing this for them, it's about doing it for yourself, and naturally you will turn into a dream girl. I hate it, this is so cringe. Next, you should never take rejection personally, whether that's in dating or in life, but especially in dating, it is more about them than it is about you. Like, there's nothing wrong with you, you're just not a match. Or sometimes a girl can actually be so great, or even a guy, you know, this roles can be reversed here, and you don't actually know what to do with it. Like, you can feel at a subconscious level so undeserving of that person that you sabotage it. And you know, when guys say, oh, you deserve so much better than me, it often just means they know you deserve better and they don't want to meet you at the level you want, because maybe they don't like you that much, or they can't even meet themselves at that level. So they feel bad and they want you to go and find someone else, and then that's why they run to easier women. And sometimes rejection is also because people can be avoidant. They're afraid of getting hurt, like, wow, they seem so great. What if they reject me? I should reject them first, which is why it's really important to look at someone's attachment style. But you hear so many girls going, oh, I was like completely out of his league. How could he treat me like this? Like, he didn't know what he had. He knew what he had, but he didn't know what to do with it. And sometimes it's not good to be out of someone's league so much. So you know, when you go for a job, if you're overqualified, they actually don't hire you. And logically you should think, well, I am so overqualified, I can do so many things at this company, help them so many ways, why would they not hire me? Because they know eventually another company's gonna approach you, or they're gonna have to pay you more eventually and you can demand it. So they'd rather just hire someone else which meets their requirements instead of going above and beyond. You can be too good sometimes. But if you are toxic and you feel like you're deeply undeserving and someone amazing comes along, you might sabotage it because you're not ready. You feel undeserving of it. You would rather see someone a little bit more flawed because it will make you feel better. Remember, this all happens at a subconscious level. If you are convenient and you give it up easily, they're going to keep you around, even if they don't like you. And then one day, they might just vanish and you'll be like, what happened? I thought everything was going perfectly. They didn't even like you. They liked how convenient you are and the fact that you were providing them easy sex. And guess what? Even if they don't like you and you haven't slept with them yet, they're going to keep seeing you until they sleep with you. Don't give in easily. Men, the way they bond, it's different in their brain. If you give it up too easily, and sex is a prize, it is hard to overcome that. But again, every connection is different. Do what feels right for you. Follow your intuition. 2 story times here. The first one, I went on a date with this guy and he was pursuing me for a really long time, like literally.
Okay, chat. Let's hop into our first reacts video of the day here, which comes from this amazing creator, Duffy. Okay. So we'll react to her video.
One piece of advice to women, just one. If I got one opportunity to say one thing, I would say that your self-respect has to be stronger than your desire to be lusted after or wanted by men. And this applies in so many categories of life, so many. Your self-respect has to be stronger when it comes to you ditching that guy who treats you like shit. You cutting things off with your situationship who won't make it official. You finally blocking your toxic ex's phone number. You not taking random thirsty men drooling after you as a compliment. Once you value yourself more, every aspect of your life will be elevated because your standards will just be higher permanently for everything. Whenever I see someone going through certain situations and going back to certain types of people, it just makes me think like, okay, you just haven't found your self-respect yet, and that's okay, but you will. You're just gonna have to learn a little harder. You're just gonna have to get dragged by the universe a little more before you find it. If I could have one.
Well, unfortunately, some people, they never learn, but it's okay. I mean, hopefully, most of us in the Players Club, we eventually learn and we eventually take that knowledge and apply it and grow our self-respect. And we realize that if we really, truly want happiness, it's not going to come in the form of doing the most for other people. It's going to come in the form of having our own self-respect, our own boundaries, and making sure that the people we allow in our lives are meeting those expectations, and that respect that they have for you as an individual and your boundaries will keep you happy for a lifetime.
Going on a second date tonight. What should we do after dinner? Go home? Don't spend that long on your dates, okay? Don't do that. Don't spend that
I be saying that all the time.
long on your dates, okay? Dinner is good enough. Ask your vetting questions like I be telling y'all. You don't need to go on a 10-hour date. I don't want you to do that. Go on a 2-hour date max, and that's it. Make him crave your attention. Don't be going on no 5-hour dinner dates with these men. 2 hours max, ladies. Make them crave you. Going on a second.
So it's so counterintuitive, but it's so simple when you actually think about how it logically works. I was helping a woman yesterday in her message, and in her private message that she sent to me, obviously I'm not going to tell you the super details of it, but in her private message that she sent to me, she went on this date. It was a second date with a guy, and the date lasted 12 hours. And after the date ended, after 12 hours of being on a date with this guy, she said, "Oh, send me a message when you get home." And he proceeded to get home and then never sent her a message, okay? She then resent him a message and said, "Hey, did you not get home?" And he was like, "LOL, haha, my bad." But guess how many dates they've been on since that second date? Just chat. Just take a wild guess. How many dates they went on after that second 12-hour date? I just want, just throw a number out there. We just, any number, okay? 0. 0 dates they've been on since then. You want to know why? Because this is how men's minds work. When you go, see, remember, everyone has their specific role and everyone is doing things. And when you can fit into those roles, it's good. When that gets thrown out of whack, it's very bad. What do I mean by that? When you go out on a 12-hour date with a man, and I told her this when I answered her message, when you go out on a 12-hour date with a man, you end up doing something very bad for yourself because he might say, yeah, that was a cool 12 hours that I spent with her. But because he sees you for such a long period of time, it's impossible for all of those moments to be filled with joy and glee and bliss. Some of those moments are just going to be like, yeah, we're on hour number 7 and she's still here. We're on hour number 8 and yeah, I guess she's still here and she's still around. But the thing about it is, you don't want men so early on to be thinking of you and thinking of, yeah, I saw her enough. Because narratives are so important for your dating life. You want men to be building a narrative that you're like this elusive thing that they want more of. Because that desire is what's going to push them to say, I want to see you more, right? The mistake comes because when you go out on the 12-hour date, you can feel like you lived 18 lives with that person in the one day. So it feels kind of like you're really bonding with the person and getting close with them really fast. But the problem is, for the next week or 2 weeks, that guy doesn't feel the need to ask you out on another date. Because when he sees you that much, it's very satiating, right? It's almost like, think of it like this, eating a meal that is so big and so large. Let's say you go to a buffet. Are you thinking seriously to yourself when you get home that you need to eat a bowl of cereal? No. Are you thinking to yourself what your next meal is going to be after you go to a buffet? No, because you've eaten so much that you're full to the brim and you're so satiated. So the next time you eat might be the next day. But vice versa, if you eat a small little snack on your lunch, by the time you get home for dinner, you're thinking about how you can eat more. And the entire day, you might be thinking about how you can eat more and eat more. So it's very good when it comes to men to pace the dating that you're doing with them and pace the dates that you go on. That's exactly why I give this information away for free. It's exactly why I gave you guys a template of how much you should be seeing a man at each step of the way throughout your dating phases, and that your dates should only last a maximum of 2 hours, regardless of what you're doing, especially at the very beginning. And you cap it at 2 hours. I don't care if you're mid-conversation. I don't care if you're just getting out the most traumatizing part of your life and you're telling him that you shouldn't be trauma dumping, but I don't care what's happening. You cut it off after 2 hours and you head yourself home. That way he can say, wow, that 2 hours flew by and I want to see you so much. I want to see you another day. I want to see you the next day or the day after that, or I want to see you this week, right? Let that be where guys are with you emotionally, not, oh, I don't need to see you for the next 2 weeks.
Let him not fuck go! Let him go and lose you! Let him go and fucking lose you! Oh yeah, let him fucking walk away. Like he's got it all figured out. Like he's doing you a motherfucking favour. It's almost tragic, isn't it? You, with everything you bring to the table, sitting there while he's blind to it. But here's the fucking kicker. It's not your job to convince him you're worth anything. You've always been worth it. You'll probably have to let go of the man you want for the man you actually deserve, yeah, but hey, you've always been fucking good enough, always. And sometimes the punchline is on you. You have to let him leave. But let me kindle your spirit a little bit. One day he'll realise the truth. No one's gonna love him the way you did. And by then, it'll be too fucking late. You'll be happy in a new relationship with someone that actually fucking appreciates you. And that's the fucking truth. Let him not fuck go!
I appreciate that everyone is a little bit different. And I like that I'm not the only one that talk. I like that I'm not the only one that talks about relationships because everyone has a different style and a different way of going about things. And so I appreciate that. I'm just someone, I like to just give you the information and try to help you figure out how you can practically use the information for your life and to better your life. Everyone has a slightly different approach, and it's okay. I have no problem with that. I express myself in different ways, and that's perfectly fine. We're all different people, all individuals. So I have no bad words to say about this guy, no disparaging words. I love his message. I love the way he delivered it. It was amazing. I hope that it impacted some of you because it definitely impacted me. And the British accent is amazing. So no notes on this here. Great message. Very passionate man. Super, super duper amazing. A+. A+. Okay.
Guys, send this video to your girlfriend to show them how you talk to girls when she's not around. Hello, I am a girl. A female. Please leave. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. If you see me in public again, don't ever communicate to me. I have a girlfriend, and she wouldn't appreciate if I'm talking to another female. So, please turn around and never look at me again. I do not want this, and I love my girlfriend so much. She is awesome, and she's the best thing ever in the whole entire world. And you are just impeding on our relationship by even looking at me. Because I know what you want to do. I know you want to kiss me on the lips, and I know you want to hold my hands.
Kiss me on the lips.
So, please, go the other way. Leave forever. Never come back. Find another guy. Find another man that could help you and support you along the way. Okay? Please leave forever. I will yell. I will scream. I am so scared of you right now. And if my girlfriend sees, she will probably attack you and unalive you. But please leave immediately. Other female.
Who is sending me these videos today? Like, who? Identify yourself in the chat. Who has been sending me these? Because I don't know who it is. I honestly don't. I just add them. Who is it? I feel like you have a agenda here. What? This feels like an episode of The Office. Okay. Okay, obviously it's a little bit of a jokey joke. I don't think any man on earth is going to talk like this. And if he did, he's probably going to make you very dry. All right. There has to be a little, I know that you want a little bit of a bad boy. I'm assuming a guy who actually talked like this probably wouldn't be very attractive to you, but maybe you're hearing this and you're like, oh my God, this is making me super wet. I would love a man to talk like this when I'm not around. Vibes.
Guys, no contact is self-respect. Maybe you lost yourself and the people lose themselves 3 to 6 months before for long-term relationships. It might have been 12 months, maybe longer. Just know that this breakup was planned. A lot of people are going to message me and they say, James, they cheated on me. It wasn't planned. I had to break up with them. Guys, if they cheat, I understand. You cross the line, you cross the line. Like when they break up with you, they'll give you an excuse. Okay, I need to work on myself. I need a break. They're all excuses, guys. No one's going to tell you the damn truth because you know why? A lot of people don't want to be vulnerable with you. You need to accept the loss at the moment. You need to sit with it. Just remember, this breakup is happening for you. It's not happening to you. This is going to make you stronger and wiser. So number 2, I want you to start looking more attractive. Okay, does that mean you have to go overboard and do all this and buy this and buy this? No, it's all about the simple things, guys. You don't have to create a massive shift straight away because it's just not going to happen. No contact is all about self-respect, but no contact is glowing low key. Okay, do not post about the breakup. Do not post stories to get their attention. Do not do any of that. This is what a lot of people do. They make this mistake or they reach out too early. And I say to them, why did you do that for? Like, you were doing so well and then your anxiety kicked in, spiraled out of control, and you felt like you need to message them because you feel like I need to care for them. I love them. They should message me back. I've given them a few weeks. Guys, no.
Or the other thing that sometimes you can fall into the trap of doing, which is sending them like a check-in message. You know, we're around the holiday time or we just passed it, and everyone loves to wish their ex-man, ex-partner, ex-situationship a happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy New Year's, happy holidays, happy everything, okay? Be happy on your own, okay? Don't do the check-ins. Don't do the wishing happy anything because that's not That's not the whole purpose. If a guy tells you he wants space from you, and we talked about that in the show literally titled How to Give Men Space. If a guy tells you he wants space from you, or he's showing you that he wants space with you, space from you with his actions, then you give him exactly that. You don't wish him a happy anything. No, it sounds mean, but you're not on this earth to be the nicest person ever, okay? You're on this earth to do some things for you, okay? And make yourself happy and have long-lasting love.
No, you need to stay low-key. Remember, you're obsessing over this person, which will make everything drift away from you, okay? When people come back, it's usually when they are healed, okay? When people come back, they'll message you when you least expect it, when you're not paying so much attention to them. Being a better you, which means doing the 1%ers every day, okay? Now, go for a walk. I don't know, go start going to the gym. Write 5 things that you're grateful for today. I don't know, do something like that. You're alive. That's a start.
The hardest thing about no contact is finding the thing that you're going to spend your time doing when you're in no contact. And ironically, if we're going to talk about relationships and how you can have successful ones, we have to talk about how you spend your time outside of relationships. Because if you don't have a clear vision of how you're going to do that, then it's going to be very difficult for you to deal with the ups and downs of any relationship, because you're never going to have absolute perfection where 100% of the time the guy's giving you his undivided attention. So the days that that comes, you have to be able to pivot and take your attention towards something else and take your focus towards something else, and building in that. That way you're not just desperate for a man, right?
If you're struggling with someone who's hot and cold with you right now, this is also known as the push-pull method, like on TikTok. Basically the same concept, okay? You pull someone in to push them away. Hot and cold, same concept. You're hot, you're on them, you're attentive, you're affectionate, you're all up on them, you want to see them, everything is great, you love it, we're marinating in that, and then they go ghost, okay? They go M-I-fucking-A, distant, don't know where they're at, fell off the face of the earth, okay? It is a natural chemical reaction in your brain. If you are a fucking human with a heart and a brain, it is natural to feel a little bit uneasy, uncertain, and borderline maybe insane when someone goes cold. Because what is going through your mind, okay, natural, again, you need to know this. Rewatch this as many times as you need, because you have to retrain your brain. It is a natural chemical reaction when someone pulls away their attention when they've been giving it to you, to want to chase after them, to want to get it back, okay? What you have to understand is that this is a manipulation tactic in order to gain control of the situation, okay? And also
It's exactly why when we had our first point of the day today, and we were talking, I'm the mute king, okay? I'm the mute mania over here. When we had our first point of the day, and I was talking to you guys about matching energy and how it can actually be a disservice to you to think like that. Because when you're thinking right away of how to match a guy's energy, and you go up here and you're super high matching his energy right at the beginning, and then all of a sudden after a while he pulls back on that energy, now your anxiety is bubbling. And then when your emotions are involved like that, instead of you thinking, oh, I'm just going to take my energy right back down to where his is, because it sounds easy in theory, now that you are more attached to the situation and him and attached to the investment you've been receiving from him, now all of a sudden it's very difficult to just take back your investment or take back your energy, because now you're thinking, well, maybe if I take it down, he's not going to care at all. And maybe instead I have to increase it a little bit more to continue getting or maybe returning back to that level of investment from him.
they could be testing you to see how you respond, okay? But the thoughts that are going through your brain are, oh my God, what happened? What's wrong? Was it ever real? Did I do something? Did I say something? You might even go back to the text thread and say, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. You're gonna start looking for a reason to explain what is going on, okay? And then they're just gonna pop back up one day, okay?
That's when you watch my show. As soon as you start spiraling out of control, you don't know what to do, you're not sure how to think, you just go right to my show, right to my channel, even if I'm not live, and start watching all the episodes.
Maybe they liked a story, maybe they liked a post, maybe they sent you a message, maybe they sent you a snap, or whatever the fuck, okay? They worm and wiggle their way back in. And you're going to think, oh, okay, like, we're good. We're good again. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I just need to chill because maybe it's just the early stages of talking. Maybe it's just all of these. It's a game. It is a fucking game, okay? And when I was in my early 20s, like this, it used to work. Hot and cold used to work on me. I used to be like, baby, yes, of course you came back. Okay, immediately disgusted. No. This one guy is currently trying to do this on me. And when you know the game, you don't fucking panic. Me panic that you went MIA for 7 days? Baby, I'm Gucci. I'm still living my life. The fact that you think you're gonna resurface and talk to me like we're good is immediately no. You're being left on red. You're being left undelivered. We're not speaking again. He will try relentlessly, as this man is, relentlessly to get me back hot. And baby, at this big age, I'm going to be 30 this year. You're not getting me back hot. The amount of effort and work, and now what you have to show me, you're never going to pass the test. You're never going to get me back hot anymore.
Hey, you heard it from her first. So that like I said to you guys as well, as you're letting men show you the level of frequency they want to talk to you and spend time with you, you're also gauging like there should be a cutoff point, right? It's not just supposed to be a forever thing where you let a guy disappear for 8 months and then he can just come back like nothing happened and you're thinking, oh, well, I'm just supposed to accept him back, right? There's a cutoff time. But inside the cutoff time, you allow men to see you at whatever frequency they want to at that point, right? So if for them, it's, every couple of days, every 3-4 days, they're not a big texter, then so be it, right? Even if they are a big texter and they want to see you every day, that's when you're going to pace them and you're not going to let yourself go overboard. But still, you let men do as they please. That doesn't mean they get to walk all over you, but you're not going to be overly invested in trying to get them to do more if they're not trying to do more. Okay. All right, chat, let's hop into our next segment of the day. You guys know what is coming up if you've been here for a while. Spam it up in the chat if you know what time it is. It's a very special time. It's an amazing time. It is indeed a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. Because it's Discord time. Okay, chat, let's hop right into this thing here. By the way, so I came up with a new idea. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. I was originally going to try and create a new channel just to post my Discord times, but I realized there's no purpose to that. I'll just post it on my main channel here. So from now on, I'm going to start doing this very soon. All of our Discord times will be posted in separate videos on my main YouTube channel as well, because I know them happening at the end of a 2-3 hour show is difficult to get to sometimes. So I'm going to start posting them as well on my main channel in just their smaller segments and chunks as I read them out. Okay. So I'm going to make sure to do that, as well as our react segment as well. So for each individual one of you that love the different segments, those will be all available for you to just watch those segments back to back to back if you want that as well. Right. Someone said the thumbnail is going to be me stretching. That'll be funny. All right, let's hop into our first, let me explain this to you first, how it works. If you want to send me in a question, there are 3 ways you can send in a question. First, in our free relationship advice forum here, which you can access by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. You get into where it says relationship advice, and then you can drop your question in right here. Just make sure you format it how it's supposed to be formatted. But you do see here, you see me scrolling, right? You see me scrolling. All of these questions that are highlighted, I have not answered yet. And it is a queue of first come, first serve, which means that I have to get to these questions first before I can head over into your question, okay? So to keep it fair, that's how we got to do it. Now, for those of you who are seeing this and you're like, how long will it take you for you to answer my question? It's going to take me about probably like 2 weeks. There's a lot of questions in here, I won't lie. Now, if you don't want to wait that long to get your question answered, if you ask your question today, you also have another option if you're impatient to ask me a question. But this way, you get to skip the line of people because I read all of these questions out first before I go into the free section. This is called our Premium Relationship Advice Forum. This forum here is obviously, like I said, for people who are too impatient and they just want me to read their question out within 24 hours or maybe even 48 hours. Now, the way you access this is by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. Click where it says Premium Discord Relationship Advice. And when you click that link, it's going to prompt you to donate to the show. And then also put in the title of your Discord username and the title of what your question is going to be. I'll get a notification on my phone that is you and that is your question, and then I'll be able to read that out on the show, ensuring that you're supposed to be in the premium section, because obviously we want to keep it fair to those who are actually, paying to be in that section, right? So you can do that if you want that as well. Now, if you're someone who wants to get my answer or opinion or advice or perspective, but you don't want your information to be out on the show, you can also ask me what we describe as our private relationship advice, right? Our hotline that you can go to, and you can type out your question and you can send it to me, and you send me as many details as you want, and I will respond to you with a voice message. I send it back to your email that you used to send in your question, and no one else sees it, okay? So that link is available. You can access it through our Discord. You can also access it through the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description, and click where it says Private Relationship Advice, okay? So those are your 3 ways of submitting a question to me. Let's hop into our first question of the day. Oh, no, I shouldn't have done that. I got to do this. Got to read it from bottom to top. All right. So to be fair to everyone. All right. Princessin 4D, potential red flag and vacation protocol in early dating. Everything has been going so good with this Ghanaian man that I didn't even realize he actually knows nothing about me. Okay. Not as bad as you think. Okay. At least nothing real anyways. Like he only knows surface level things. Whereas I've been getting to know him so well and I've gotten him to open up so much. I haven't really spoken about myself at all. Don't get me wrong. A part of me likes this because I am naturally closed off with sharing my life, as I've mentioned previously. Since I come from harsh background / upbringing, I don't want a pity party or people to see me as less than due to having no family, etc. Of course, your show, after, I guess you might say, like, seeing my show, I now see my upbringing as something to be proud of, overcoming, and know my future husband will accept me fully for me. That's very true. With that said, I want to know if you think this is a red flag that he hasn't really asked me more about myself. It's like he's doing everything else right. I told him I was cramping from my period, and he sent me a heating pad to my house to help me with the cramps, along with food and cookies. That's really nice. I notice he is always trying to solve my problems. Truly, he meets everything on my list, buys me gifts, flowers. He says I've motivated him to want more in life. He's literally obsessed with me. I put that in quotes because what is he obsessed with? That's funny. I text him and he answers right away, even though I go hours not responding to him. And when I do, it's dry. Anyways, most of the time, I'm just getting him to talk, and I don't know if I'm too good at it or if I should be concerned. It's been about a month now. 2 dates. He lives 4 hours from me, but we have another one scheduled, and we talk on the phone at least 4 to 5 times a week with limited texting. I use the phone calls to get deep as well as let him tell me more about himself. Should I be worried that he hasn't asked me deeper questions about me? What do I do? He literally only knows surface level things, which I keep convos as I'm getting him to talk. But I know so much about him. Part 2. Also, I have another question. Should we wait to go on vacations, mini vacations with the guy we are dating? Definitely. That I'll give you an easy answer. For instance, Ghanaian man wants to plan a mini getaway for Valentine's Day for us. By the time by that time, we would have been dating unofficially for 2 months. He wants it to be 3 to 4 days long. Do you recommend this, or should I tell him that I'd rather wait until we are official? That way I'm allowed more time with him. I don't want to rush anything, but he keeps talking about it, and I've just been switching the subject, not knowing what to say. Okay, so let me answer your first question first. See, I'm going to explain something to you about men. That way you can better understand what may be going on here, and it can ease your anxiety. So, you know how they always say, oh, actions speak louder than words? This is kind of one of those examples, because for men, they find it exponentially more easy to express their love or care for you by doing things for you than by, talking about it. I'm not saying that a man should never want to ask you more about yourself or want to know more about you. I'm not saying that, right? There's obviously a balance. But what I am saying is I don't want you to put so much on whether or not he's asking you a bunch of questions that you think that the other stuff doesn't mean anything. Because in my own understanding of men, the fact that he's doing all of these things for you, right? Like trying to get you a heating pad and, getting you food and cookies when you're going through things, right? That to me speaks more to how he feels towards you than necessarily him asking you a whole bunch of super deep questions. I'm not saying that you don't get deep. I want you to get deep, and I want both of you to be able to share about yourselves, right? But also take into account you're in month number 2, or sorry, is it even month number 2? And you're in month number 1 currently now, and you've only been on 2 dates. So I get it. You guys talk on the phone and things like that, but you're still very, very early on. Like you're still in very early stages. I'm not saying that, hey, there should be an expectation that at this point you guys have had to have 85 serious, super deep conversations and things like that. You have to also understand that you're learning strategies and you're getting advice from the show and learning a lot of things that make it easy for you to extract a lot of deep information and conversation out of someone who you just met or just started knowing. So I'm saying that because you're not realizing how powerful you're becoming at using this technique well. So that can become a little bit jarring and shocking to you when you're getting people to talk so deeply so early on. But in reality, people may not necessarily be going this deep this early on. Are you following me? So I would like you, more than you're thinking about, hey, is this a red flag? I don't necessarily consider it a red flag only because it's still very early on in your dating life and history with this guy. You're only in month number 1 and you've only been on 2 in-person dates. And number 2 reason is because in correlation with that or in tandem with that, he is doing a lot of actionable items for you and in this relationship, especially as it relates to your happiness and making sure that you're good. To me, that speaks volumes about how he feels about you, because that is the way that men know how to communicate their affection very easily. They know how to take action for you to communicate affection. It's a little bit harder for them to do that when it comes to talking about their feelings or going super deep into stuff. Especially, I'll just be super honest with you, a Ghanaian man, especially if he's like a straight off the boat or, he's lived most of his adult life there in Guinea, right? In West Africa, it's a different culture. The men are raised a little bit different. And so his way about going about relationships can be slightly different. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but in all cultures, the men know how to do for you. In some cultures, they're a little bit less good at knowing how to talk about the deep stuff. I'm just saying, okay, it doesn't make him a bad man or anything like that, right? The action is the most important part. Now, the other part as it relates to the relationship, and you're talking about going on a getaway with him, my advice to you would be to just let's chill a little bit, okay? Let's chill a little bit on the getaway thing. I know that you guys are still early on and he wants to do some really nice stuff for you. My advice for you would be, hey, I appreciate what you're trying to do. And, I appreciate all the lengths that you're going towards. But I don't think that, we need to go on a 3 to 4 long day thing, right? Let it be a nice day that he takes you out and a day that he spends with you if he wants to make it super romantic and things like that. But I think at 2 months into the relationship, it's not even really necessarily appropriate for you guys to be going on a 3 or 4 day long thing to celebrate the romance you've had for 2 months. I'm not saying that him trying to do more for you is a bad thing, okay? Because I get it. It can either be he's trying to do a lot, and but some of you might be like, oh, well, he's just trying to love bomb you or trying to move it too fast, too soon. But that's what I want. I want you to pace this relationship and pace what's going on. I don't want you to fall victim to doing so much so fast, so early on, especially because, like, let's just say hypothetically, you actually end up dating and marrying this man. This is your first, Valentine's Day together, and he's going to spend it doing a 3 to 4 day long getaway with you. Where are you guys going to go from there? I'm not saying that he can't do more for you, but I feel like it's okay for you guys to spend your first Valentine's Day when you've only been talking to each other for 2 months in just being with each other for the day, spending a nice day together, maybe going to a nice dinner. If he wants to go all out for the dinner, so be it. But like, I think that is more appropriate for the amount of time you've actually known each other than to even be like a 3 to 4 day long thing is for people that have been dating 3 to 4 years. That's when they're taking it to that level. I just think that for 2 months, just keep it tamed and tell him you appreciate the gesture, but you'd rather just keep it like a day thing, right? Not that you don't like him or anything like that, but you just want it to be a day thing. And obviously he likes you. He wants to be with you. He's not going to have a problem with making it a day thing. At least he shouldn't, right? Let's go into our next question here, which comes from X. X says, the fourth date. Hi, Tomisin. I sent you a question in last week about this guy who's 26 that rescheduled meeting with me a couple times. Today we had our fourth date and it went quite well. We laughed a lot and also asked a lot of questions about each other. I could feel he wanted to ask me about being his boyfriend. Wait, what? I could feel he wanted to ask me about being his boyfriend? You mean being his girlfriend? Since he mentioned this was our fourth date, I'm assuming you mean being his girlfriend. Since this was our first date and he asked me how I felt about him. I told him I thought he was nice and he looked really happy about it. He was also asking me how I would feel about moving closer to his... No. We haven't even finished the question here. No. Just no. You're not doing that. You've been on 4 dates with this guy. We're not talking about moving closer to... No. If we were in a long-term if we're in a long-term relationship, that's just one of those things you say, we'll see. Okay? But this it's not even conversation you need to be having right now. He mentioned that it's difficult for him to move due to his job. He's an engineer for Samsung. I told him it was fine for me to do so since I work on 1-year contracts and I'm currently unhappy at my workplace. Let's go on. I mentioned to him before I wanted to move after my contract was finished. So I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to understand the logistics of if this is even like purposeful to pursue. But I think that this is a conversation where you just say, you know what, I'll see it. When I'm in that situation, I really have to be gauging where my relationship is and if that even makes sense at the time. The reason I say that is because this is such a hypothetical and I just don't want you making a whole bunch of promises that you feel the need to fulfill as time goes on, right? I just don't, you're adding a lot of unnecessary pressure to yourself. I think the will see answer is perfectly okay. Not that you're against it, but not necessarily that you're making some sort of promise that you'll move closer to him. Okay. I just don't think it's necessary. You're on your fourth date. Towards the end of the date, as we were waiting for our taxis to go home, he asked me to be his girlfriend. Okay. I'm not liking this vibe. I'm not liking it. I get it. See, this is the confusing part, right? You'll hear people say when he knows, and things like that. But there is a pace that is healthy for relationships and your growth in them. It's date number 4. I'm not saying he can't be intentional. I'm not saying he can't want you, but we're on date number 4. So assuming you guys went on a date each week, you haven't even known each other for a month yet. So that's that date, 4 dates. Like, let's get some more time with each other. Let's feel each other out. Like, also you X, let's have our first fight. I know fights is not something that you're necessarily going to be looking forward to, but your first big fight is going to tell you a lot about how he really feels about you and how he'll really treat you. I don't want you to make the mistake of making your decision about him before you even get to know all of him, right? I felt he was quite nervous when he asked, since he phrased it as, "So do you want to be my girlfriend?" No. I told him yes, and he said, "So no?" What? What? How are we starting this off and we're already all confused? I realized this is a cultural difference between us, as he is Korean and I'm Canadian. When a Korean is asked a question in the negative form, he will answer yes. I am not, yes, I am not. Oh, so, okay. As opposed to no, I'm not. Okay, I understand now. I think by asking yes, he thought I agree with his no, that I don't want to be his girlfriend. My full answer was yes, but I want to get to know you more. So there's a little bit of a cultural miscommunication here. He looked kind of disappointed. I think, honestly, that was better than just saying yes. And I think you're sending a better message this way. I don't have an issue with being your girlfriend, but at this point, I still want to spend some more time with you and growing with you before I fully commit to that or making that decision. I know that that's a little bit of a complex answer, but that is what was required of a delicate situation like this. I was afraid of this misunderstanding since he didn't ask me to meet again. I messaged him. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I messaged him and explained that I do want to be his girlfriend, but I think we should see each other a few more times or get to know each other more. This is a prime example of, okay, I tell you all, whenever you want to have a serious, nuanced conversation with someone that requires delicacy and understanding, and you want to avoid as many miscommunications as possible, I always advise you all to have that conversation in person. Do not have delicate conversations like this over text. I know you're trying your best, X, but you did it the opposite way. In the car or whenever it was, when he brings that up, that's the time to explain things in nuance. It's not the time to be trying to explain that when you get back and you're starting to think, oh, I did something now. And now you're trying to explain yourself over message. Because it's never going to come across how you want. And you're talking about miscommunications off of culture. There'll be even more miscommunications when you're doing it over text as well. He said he understood. And then a few minutes later, he asked me to meet next Thursday. Going forward, I felt a bit anxious. In Korean culture, it's normal for relationships to begin fast, usually after one date or a few dates. I think they have the idea that they will get to know each other while in the relationship. Well, that's fine, but you're here. I'm assuming you said you're Canadian, right? So you're Canadian and you guys are in Canada, and just because, that's his culture, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying that you're going to assume he's a bad person, because obviously there's a little bit of a cultural thing that's why he's going about it that way. So in you being understanding about that, you still want to pace him and let it work for you, not you be trying to make super crazy adjustments for him just because he's Korean and in his culture is a little bit different, right? He said let's go up here. I think they have the idea that they will get to know each other while in a relationship. I'm afraid that he might be discouraged and may feel this situation is strange. I'm also wondering, now, do I wait until the next time he asks me to be his girlfriend? I'm afraid he may feel discouraged or reluctant to ask again and won't do it. Also, how would I let him know I feel ready for a relationship? Okay, so X, you're in a situation where, because of the cultural differences, there has to be a lot of real nuanced discussion here, okay? And I know you're in a special situation where you're going to have to actually explain some things so that he's not confused about some things, all right? What I mean by that is you're going to have one of these days where you guys meet in person, that is going to have to be dedicated to you explaining to him that for this relationship, you do like him, but you want to spend time with him, getting to know him and understanding him better. And then that is after a while of you guys having some time with each other, then you can feel better about the idea of committing yourself to being boyfriend and girlfriend. Then if you want to, because if he's like fresh off the boat Korean and he really is going about it in his own cultural way, you're going to have to explain to him, in my culture in Canada, it's a little bit different the way that we date. We don't just date right away, fast, super intense. We kind of let ourselves feel each other out and grow in our understanding before we commit to being boyfriend and girlfriend, because boyfriend and girlfriend is supposed to lead to marriage, supposed to lead to da-da-da-da-da. And this is a discussion that you can have with him in person where you're nuanced, and then he can kind of connect the dots as, oh, I see why you're doing it like this. Or I see why you said no at the beginning. I see why blah, 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 blah. That way, both of you can be at an understanding. And like you said, there won't be the mistake of the miscommunication of, oh, you're doing this because you don't like me. Or you thinking to yourself, maybe if I discourage him, I'm making a mistake because he's going to think I don't like him and then he's going to stop trying. The way to solve that is to have a discussion about this. And I think that it's super hyper important that this gets addressed for you, especially in your situation, just because he might not necessarily be going about it that way because he's trying to manipulate you or love bomb you. It might genuinely be a cultural thing for him. So if he doesn't understand how there are cultural differences where he is now versus how he's accustomed to things going, then, and you guys don't have that discussion, then there's bound to be miscommunication. And you don't want that, especially when both people have the right intention. So setting that record straight and having that cultural conversation is a good way to avoid that unnecessary amount of miscommunication and misinterpretation. Okay, so have that discussion first. Make sure that he's understanding of actually what you're saying and that he's actually absorbed what you're trying to say. And then you guys can move forward in the relationship, hopefully with that same shared understanding of how you're supposed to be moving forward then. All right. All right, let's hop into our next question here that I accidentally clicked early. This one comes from C. C says he needs to cut back on work first. I have danced with a man at weekly events for years, over a decade, 10 years dancing with one man. Okay. Never having a real conversation because I was married. Wait a second. No judgment. Why doesn't your husband come with you to these dance events? 10 years? You've been dancing with the same man? And your husband doesn't come to any of these, let's go on. I'm now divorced and we have been seeing each other at different dancing events. He approached me at one and at the next, he asked me to get a bite to eat after. He arranged a date. So, okay, I have a question here, though. Has he asked you to get a bite to eat before? What did he see something or notice something that would have made him realize this is his opportunity to get a bite to eat? Did you express something? I'm just curious, because why would he so conveniently ask you this after 10 years if he hasn't asked you this before? Anyways, he arranged a date with me for dinner, which happened last night. It was a nice evening, and I asked a lot of questions, as I have learned here. He is a lawyer and very driven. He is very busy with work and uses his 3 weeks of vacation like so. 2 weeks snow skiing, and the other week here and there throughout the year. So like just doing his own thing. Okay. I considered this against my list of things I want in a man, and I think we need to wait to date until he retires or has some kind of alternate work arrangement so that he can travel with me. Wait, what? What is, so you're saying because he's too busy, he doesn't get enough vacation. That's what you're trying to say. He did say that he needs to start thinking about working less, but I can see from our conversation that he loves his work, and that might be later, if ever. Trust me, if you're with a man that loves his work, don't even bother fighting against that. Don't even bother trying to imagine a day in which he'll stop loving work and stop, loving, going to work and all that. Just get that out of your mind. If that really doesn't work for you and that's not a vibe for you, don't even be thinking of the eventual day in which he'll stop wanting or loving work. If you are already identifying that in him right now, then that's just his personality. And that's not going to change no matter how old he is, no matter if he has a cane, no matter nothing. The men that enjoy working, they love to work. That's them. That's their heart. That's their personality. That's their soul. You're never going to convince them out of it. So just don't even bother. I am semi-retired, working only 20 hours a week. I'm at a stage in my life where I want to have a lot of fun and go a lot of places. That's not a crime. I travel a lot in an RV with a group of women travelers and have a lot of trips planned. Not a crime at all. That's your personality. That's your prerogative. I am supposed to sit with him as his date at the next dance and would like to tell him, let's put a pin in this relationship and start back up when you have time to travel. We are also an hour and 15 minutes away from each other. He's in a large city and I'm out in the country. Okay. Going to give you some harsh realities after this. I think this means I would be going to him more than he would come out here. That felt a little odd last night when he commented that he was impressed that I drove all the way. If he was working less, very unlikely. He could come and spend long weekends at the lake with me if our relationship went anywhere. Gonna give you some harsh realities here. I want someone who is at the very least can take 4-day weekends and a couple of week-long trips throughout the year. How should I put it to him? See, I'm going to break some news to you here. You're not going to want to hear it, but I'm going to break some honest news to you here. What you're talking about is a personality and a lifestyle preference. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to only date people who are exactly like you, but you're smart and mature enough that you're identifying the exact lifestyle that works for you, that you need and desire in your life. See, what's happening here is you're connecting with this man because you've been dancing with him for over a decade, all right? And you've been seeing him for so long that you guys spend time with each other and you like, his vibe when you dance with him and you talk to him. But when it comes to romance and the way you guys would actually go about the logistics of your relationship, you're in two different places in your life. He's a workaholic that lives in the city because obviously if he's a lawyer, he has to work in the city to get the best work or the most work, right? And I'm sure if you're saying that he's passionate about that and he loves that and he's very driven, trust me, don't think to yourself when he gets older, it's going to go away. Don't have it in your mind when he retires. The men that like working, when they retire, they just find a new thing to work on. You know those old men that start working on cars when they're retired, or they start building things around the house and renovating? That's because those men love to work. It makes them, you have to understand this. For these men, work makes them feel alive. If they're not working, they will not feel alive. They will literally feel like they're dying. I'm telling you this as someone who has this personality trait. So you're better off understanding that's not going to change. The way that traveling makes you feel alive, right? Traveling with your girlfriends and going on week-long trips and taking 4 long-day weekends, that makes you feel alive, is the same way for a man like this. This makes him feel alive. So that's never not going to be a thing. So the reason that I have to break this down like this is because I think that you're wasting a lot of your time trying to turn a man who doesn't have that personality trait or feel alive doing that thing to try and want that thing, right? And I don't think it's even necessary for you to explore a relationship if that's the case, right? And I know that you have said that, yeah, you think that you're probably going to have to put a pin in this because it's not going to work until he's ready for that. I don't think he's ever going to be ready for that. So I think it's just one of those cases where he might want to pursue you because he likes spending time with you as well. And he likes the vibe, But I think that you've already laid out the reasons why that vibe is not going to be, when we're talking about romance, it's not going to be a compatible vibe here, because I just don't foresee the lawyer who barely takes vacations and loves working is ever going to feel okay with 4-day weekends and week-long trips, happening all throughout the year. I'm telling you this as a man who loves to work. When I take breaks that are too long, I get anxiety. It's not because anything's actually happening. I just don't feel good doing nothing. And if I'm relaxing, but I'm not relaxing knowing, hey, I'm going to get back to work soon, or I'm relaxing just to get my mind off things to work more again, I'm not going to feel good, right? And I can't even relax properly if I'm just relaxing with no end goal in sight, with no work coming. It doesn't feel good for me. So I'm telling you this as it's probably going to be very similar for a man who has those same character traits. He's not going to feel good going on 4-day weekends or week-long trips. I'm not saying he can't enjoy his time with you if you guys do that every so often, but I just don't think the lifestyle that brings you life and you're excited about is the same thing he's going to be excited about. And I think if there's a clash there, it'll be very difficult to even get this relationship off the ground in the first place. So I do agree with you that you should probably consider the relationship not a relationship. But I think the best thing in terms of letting him down is to just explain to him that you just think that your lifestyles are in two different places. And it's not that he's a bad person or you're a bad person. You just think that the things that you want for yourself are a little bit different than the things that he wants for himself currently. And you don't have to leave it to, oh, maybe when you change this or you change that or you change that. You just leave it as that. As in your analyzation, you just think that you guys are in different places in your life on what you desire from life. You guys can have a nuanced discussion about it. He might rebuttal and tell you some things that maybe you didn't know, but let him be the one to rebuttal or discuss with you, right? Don't say that, hey, you got to change this or you got to change that. Just let it be, hey, I like your vibe. I like us coming to the dance studio and stuff like that. But when it comes to romantic dating, I just don't think logistically for us, it's going to make a lot of sense. You love to work. You love being a lawyer. You don't take a lot of vacations. And I love that you like that. But for me, I have different desires for my life. And that's perfectly okay. That's a mature adult conversation. Okay. You said, yes, I want him to work 100 if he wants, but I want to stop dating him. And I want to let him know of things change. That if things change, I'm interested. Yeah. So I think that conversation should consist of, hey, I just think that me and you right now are in two different places in our desires in life. And then you lay out some things that you've noticed about him and that he loves to work and the things that you want for your life and in the future. And then let him respond, because he might tell you maybe sometime in the future, I really want this, this, and this for my life. Or this is only temporary for da 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 da. In which case, maybe you guys can come to an understanding. But if he says, you know what, you're right, I do love to work. I agree with everything that you said. I am a workaholic and I can't see myself taking week-long trips regularly and 4-day long vacations. Then you know what? So it's okay. We can come here, we can dance, we can chat, but let's not do the, going on dates romantic thing, because it's just, there's no purpose to it. Okay. I know that's kind of disappointing, but that's a mature conversation that you have to have when you're thinking about how you're going to actually build a real relationship with someone logistically, not just, in your mind because you like them. Right. Let's go into our next question here. Right. Which comes from S. All right. So S says, make sure, hold up a second. Let me check because this just got submitted here. Let me make sure. Oh boy. Let me make sure this is where it's supposed to be. Okay. S submitted her question. Uh-oh. I think we caught S. All right, S, you gotta donate to the show. You can't drop in your question, and you haven't donated to the show yet. That is not how we do it here. Okay, so I'll come back to your question here if you decide to donate to the show, but you can't just drop your question in here if you haven't donated to the show. I have to check that, chat, because we got to keep it fair to everyone. You can't just put your question in the skip the line section and you actually haven't donated to the show to skip the line. All right. All right. Let's go into our next question here, which comes from Fina. Right? Oh, we'll say Fina. A black cat's quest for love and feminine flow. Wow. That sounds really beautiful. You must be a writer. Hi, Thompson. It's me again. The girl who always ends up enduring silent treatment at the end of, her relationships. Okay. After you answered my question, I noticed you did an entire segment on black cat energy mistakes. And honestly, every single point resonated with me deeply. I'm grateful that you addressed this. Now I understand that I embody the black cat persona. While I may appear sexy and seductive on the outside, I still struggle to connect with my feminine energy. I work in finance, and even my career choices reflects the strong masculine energy I carry within myself. I want to break free from this because I genuinely want people to stay in my life, not assume, oh, she'll be fine without us. She doesn't even need me. This perception seems to follow me everywhere. And before anyone tries to blame me by saying you should communicate more, I want to point out that there has been multiple instances in both friendships and relationships where after confronting someone or expressing that I'm hurt, they've deliberately done things to hurt me further. I'm genuinely a kind and caring person, yet I keep getting played and abandoned. I know I don't try very hard to open up or put my feelings into words, but it stems from being raised by emotionally unavailable, narcissistic parents. From the age of 10, I was shamed for crying or expressing emotions over things that were perfectly normal for a child to feel upset about. The upbringing has made me incredibly difficult for me to open up about my feelings and be vocal. I truly want to find love and build healthy relationships. For example, the guy from work, oh, please no guys from work, who gave me the silent treatment was a new hope for me. I understand that it's a professional setting, but after that day, he did start speaking to me again. Maybe he was testing whether I'd reach out first. Can you advise me on how to navigate future relationships and tap into my true feminine energy? I'm not talking about looking feminine, but about embodying a feminine mindset. One where I do feel the need to be hyper rational, overly independent, where I don't feel the need to be hyper rational and overly dependent all the time. I want to allow men to love me and give me a chance without making it a competition. For context, my past relationship was abusive. And the one before that was a joke. Wow. Okay. It was long distance and never felt real. I don't have much dating experience, and at 27, I feel like I'm still trying to figure it all out. Thank you so much for your insights. Okay, Finna, right? We'll call you. This is the thing. So obviously, I'm a man. So me talking to you about how to be more feminine or be closer to your feminine energy is a little bit of a caveat there because obviously I'm a man. But when it comes to embodying, see, the number one thing that you have to be thinking about is everyone has roles in relationships. And when I say that, I mean you have a particular role that you're supposed to play in a relationship as a woman in your feminine energy, and a man has a particular role he's supposed to play in a relationship in his masculine energy. Now, the natural role for a man, I can explain to you to kind of help you understand how you fit into the relationship, is for the man to be leading and progressing the relationship forward. Meaning, because of his desire to want you and get to know you and get more access to you. When I talk about access, I'm not just talking about jackrabbiting himself inside of you. I'm talking about access in the sense of getting more time, right, from you, and getting more access to you emotionally, getting closer to your heart in terms of you sharing more things about yourself and your life, right? All of that, right? Because he has that desire. And trust me, men have that desire, right? They see women and they want women. Because they have that desire to get to know you more and get more access to you, they in turn do things to do that, to get that, to receive that access, whether it be taking you out on dates, taking care of you, trying to solve your problems, make you happy, all of that good stuff. And this show, actually, today's show is perfectly for you because being in your feminine energy is allowing men to show up for you how they want to show up for you and allowing them to hunt you like in a sense of like pursue you because they have an innate desire for you and to build with you and because they want more of you, right? But see, if you don't know how to do nothing properly, then it becomes very difficult to do this well. And then subsequently you end up not in your feminine energy, you end up in your masculine because what I want you to understand, you broke something down about your childhood that I think is a good analyzation of your own self. Now, the other self-analyzation that I want you to take note of is your career path. So you mentioned here, I can't find it where you mentioned so I work in finance and even my career choices reflect strong masculine energy I carry within myself. See, this is the thing. Any of you, and some of you can take away from this that might be in a similar situation, any of you that are corporate girlies, that required some level of deeper critical thinking to be able to get in your position in life, right? And to be able to work your way up the corporate ladder or wherever it may be that you are, right? See, that takes a level of masculinity that you must embody to be able to work well in that corporate structure. You have to be forward thinking. You have to use your critical thinking skills. You have to be more logistical and analytical in your thought process. And you have to go for things before someone tells you to go for them, right? So that's not necessarily a bad thing to have in your work life and to be successful in. But the thing about it is you can't bring that same mindset to the way that you date men, because that mindset is going to put you in your masculine and is going to have you either attracting feminine men, or the men who are masculine will be repelled from you because they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. The roles here are not, in alignment. Okay. So the hardest part about this is understanding that there's a different part of your brain that has to be operating when you're going about your dating life. Meaning, when you're dating men, obviously you're signaling to them that you want them to approach you, that maybe you're interested in them and things like that. But you have to exercise a level of patience that allows men to come to you. And you have to be really, really okay with understanding that some men you might want or show some interest in will not take the necessary steps to approach you. But unlike your work life in finance, it doesn't then become your responsibility to then do the work for them and take on that role or pick up the slack, where you now should be taking initiative and filling in the leftover space or the void to try and make something work. Because when you're a good, worker in the corporate world, you figure out how to make things work with your resources and take steps forward. But the problem is, in relationships, you need to leave that space for the men to make their own decision. That way they can stay in their masculine energy. So it's not necessarily like, oh, you got to do one big thing or got to do this next big thing or that next big thing. What I want you to first think about, if you want to start working towards being more in your feminine, is that the way I approach my work life and the way I approach that part of my life is a different way than I will approach my relationships. And I have to adopt the mentality that despite how much I may meet a guy and want him, or meet a guy and want a relationship to work, I have to let men make their own decision about how they choose to show up for me. And within that, then I decide, based on how they choose to show up for me, if this is a man that I want to spend my time and energy invested into. And I'm constantly evaluating how men are showing up for me. And in my evaluation, I then either invest my own time and energy, or I take away my time and energy investment. And from that standpoint, you control what you can control. But outside of that, you're never trying to control the men in your life or the way they show up for you romantically. You're just evaluating how they choose to do that. That mentality shift will put you in a much better place, energy-wise, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, where you feel more in your feminine, where you're allowing men to do the approaching, to do the pursuing, instead of trying to fix every single little thing, over-explain, over-communicate, try and get him to understand this when he's never even asked you to understand that, trying to get him to see it this way. That never works for men. It never does. And it will always repel the men who are trying to also embody their masculine, okay? Let's hop into our next question here. Okay. So many questions we have. All right. This one comes from Universal. Okay, I like that name. How to detach from men. Hello, bad bees. What are your methods for detaching from a crush, situationship, or a relationship? I have abandonment issues that get triggered from time to time. So although I can remain detached while I'm flirting, I tend to overanalyze things after spending time with my persons of interest. Any advice is welcome. Okay. So when you're flirting with someone or you're getting to know that person, okay, I always do advise that you should be dating from a detached standpoint, not because I don't want you to care, okay, and not because I don't want you to want this person or love them back. It's because I know that if you become too overly attached or invested, you will spiral out of control, and then men will be able to take advantage of that because of how much you want to invest here. So my couple of key points, by the way, I have a whole show on this, right? I talked about this a couple days ago, how to detach so men fall in love with you. But my whole thing on this, first things first that you want to be doing is understanding you're not here for any particular outcome. What I mean by that is, of course, yeah, you want a relationship, but you want a relationship with the men who fit your criteria. So rather than thinking to yourself, I'm coming on a date so that this guy will like me and I can do everything I need to get this guy to like me, I want you to come on your date and say, I'm going to be asking questions here and getting an understanding of who this guy is, to know that if I'm going to be investing my time and energy here, that this is actually a guy of me worth investing my time and energy. The reason I say that is because that mindset shift makes it easier for you to not be so overly attached to everything that he is, how he's responding to you and everything that he's saying to you. Because instead of you looking at it as, oh, he didn't message me today, I must have done something wrong, or he didn't call me on the day he said he was going to call me, maybe I'm not attractive, or maybe I said something wrong, or maybe I haven't slept with him early enough. Instead, you start looking at it as, oh, okay, he chose not to call me. He chose not to message me. He hasn't spoken to me for a week. I'm not seeing this as something that I'm doing wrong, but I am evaluating that to see if he's even really invested in me for real, or if he's even showing up for me how I expect a man to show up for me. Because my expectation of a man is not that he'll disappear on me for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. And if he's doing that, I should be evaluating that and realizing that this might be a waste of my time to invest my time and energy here. Okay. So a lot of what you're talking about in terms of your detachment is not about like, oh, you date them and you don't know their name, or you forget, don't ask them any questions, or don't ask them about that's not what I'm saying. What I want you to do is just change your mindset, because your mindset change will change your approach, and it'll change the way you're receiving things that are happening. You're evaluating how men are choosing to show up for you. You're not going into this dating stage or talking stage or whatever stage thinking about how you can adjust or change yourself so you can be more likable to the man. That way, as you're evaluating his behavior, his truthful and honest behavior from his own choices, you can be honest with yourself and say to yourself, look, if he's not showing up for me based on my already existing criteria and expectations for what I want in a man and in a relationship, then I don't invest my time and energy here, period. I'm not thinking about how to adjust or change myself. I'm not thinking about how to invest more of my time so that this guy likes me. No, the guy that I'm looking for will be more than interested in me, and he'll like me more than enough for 3 relationships. And if that's the case, and this guy isn't showing up for me in that way, then I have my answer on whether or not I should be investing my time and energy into him. Okay? All right. All right, chat, that's the show for today. For those of you who have a question for me, you can either ask your question in our free relationship advice section, in our premium one. Make sure you donate to the show if you're going to be in the premium one, or in our private relationship advice forum. All those links are available to you in my TikTok bio or my description there as well. All right. I definitely am going to be posting our Discord times. From now on, I'm going to work on that this weekend, start posting them up on the page. So many Discord times that I have to post up here on our main page. So make sure you guys are subscribing to me on YouTube. By the way, for those of you who love watching me on TikTok, please make sure you're subscribe to me on YouTube and you're in our Discord. Because come January 19th, if you're watching me and you're in the USA, TikTok's going to be no more for you all watching me in the USA. So please make sure that you're subscribed to me on YouTube and you're in our Discord, because I would hate for you to lose access to me in this show because you forgot to subscribe to my YouTube or join our Discord, and now you have no way of connecting with me or seeing the show anymore once TikTok goes down, because it is signed, sealed, and delivered. 19th is going down. So there nothing's changing on that front. So you guys need to make sure that, for me, if you love the show, that you're following me there so you can get access to me. Someone says, will we still be able to use the app? That's the unknown part, is that when it does go down, and the 19th is the date, when it does go down, it's quite unsure how it's actually going to work. I know for sure you guys won't be able to download it in the App Store anymore. And it's a possibility that the app just won't work at all for people who are in the USA. So because of that, because we don't know if drastically things will just poof disappear, we want to make sure that we're following me on YouTube, the platform that's not going away, so that we can all still continue to enjoy the show there, even if you're watching me on TikTok from the USA, right? Someone says, am I from the States? No, I live in Canada. I live in Toronto. So my TikTok's not going to go away, but you guys might not be able to watch me. That's the problem, okay? Great Fortune Cookie donates 50 DKK in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much for your generous donation, Great Fortune Cookie. She says, which stage is allowed to start having long chats by text? I mean, if we are both busy and have not been able to see each other for a while, my honest advice, to just keep it very simple with you, make it your boyfriend. That's the only person who you should be having chats with over text. And even then, I would love for you to make you and your boyfriend to have a dedicated focus on not just having long chats over text, having long chats in person as much as you possibly can. Just because, especially when that's your boyfriend, you'll get so much more out of the communication and the conversation when it's in person. Not saying you can't ever text your boyfriend, but I definitely do think even when he is your boyfriend, there should always be good, solid dedication and focus to being with each other in person. But the simple answer is, I think that long chats aren't really super necessary until you guys are legit boyfriend and girlfriend, because then at least you know there's some level of commitment on his part, that you're not overexerting yourself, overextending yourself by trying to match energy of a guy who you're not even sure if he really wants to be with you for real. Okay. Right. Ivy says, is Canada affected? Canada is not affected by the TikTok ban or thing. Okay, we're not affected at all, right? Those of you who are watching me on TikTok, you can find my Instagram just above my head there, Tomisin_Atub, TOMISIN_ATOB, if you want to follow me on Instagram. For those of you who are watching me on YouTube, it's in my description. For those of you who are watching me on TikTok, you came late, you found the show late. I already mentioned it before. Make sure you're subscribed to me on YouTube. Go onto my YouTube, TOMISIN. You can just type it in there. Go into the live section. You'll see this live show and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. You have the YouTube and the TikTok live chat embedded in the video, so you won't miss a second of conversation there on the show. I'm here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to figure out what time that is in your time zone, you just have to calculate that via Google. And I'll be back here again Monday at 4 p.m. EST. Okay, 4 p.m. EST. Until then, because I will be posting throughout the weekend. But until we see each other again live, I bid you adieu, arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, sayonara, adios, ciao, salam, bon voyage. And I'll see you all again on Monday, live and direct, okay? I love you so much. Goodbye. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Don't get into any nefarious activities. And don't